agenda, so. Break it out. She's saying, yes. You got me.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Commissioner Davis, can you hear us?
Yes, Monica, I can hear you now.
Thank you.
Yeah. All you do this. Yeah. If you want to push the neighbors, see, yeah, you'll see all the other participants. Let's see. You want to bring in some here.
What color?
Silver, that's my favorite color.
All right, that's what I thought before this one was.
I'm getting ready for it now. Still, I have that record. Got those long legs.
Good evening, everyone. Today is September 4th, 2025, and this is a special session of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, for Board of Commissioners. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that some commissioner staff and the public are attending remotely via Zoom, by phone, or also on site. All participants joining by phone should please mute your phone at this time to avoid any background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak, so the public that is participating knows exactly who is speaking. And when you speak, please make sure you speak at an audible level so your comments can be captured for record by our clerk. This is critical given the number of remote participants and its current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General's office. I will now call the special meeting to order. Clerk, can you announce the meeting and roll call, please?
Good evening. You're hereby notified that a special meeting of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas is scheduled to be conducted in a hybrid format on Thursday, September 4th, 2025 at 5 p.m. for a budget workshop in the Commission Chambers of the Municipal Office Building, Lobby Level 701 North 7th Street, Kansas City, Kansas. Roll call. Townsend. Burns.
Here.
Ramirez. We have an absence memo. Hill.
Here.
Kane. Here. Lopez.
Here.
Stites.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Bynum. Here. Burrows.
Here.
Garner.
Here, thank you, clerk. We're scheduled for another series of our budget workshops. Again, as our commissioners try and get all the information they need to make an informed decision to hopefully finalize in short order the 2026 Unified Government budget. And this is just another, again, series that hopefully will get us to that point. I'm going to turn it over to our county administrator, Mr. David Johnson, and he will conduct the meeting from this point on.
Yes, at last week's budget session, we were requested to look at a few items. First of all, we wanted to look at today the capital improvement program, which we have sent out to the commission, and we'll review that with you today. But also you gave me instructions to work with staff for, can we find further reductions in at least the city budget, which we'll discuss today as well. At this point, I will turn it over to our budget director, Reggie Lindsay. So Reggie.
Good evening, everyone. Reginald Lindsay, Unified Government Budget Director. So today we have provided what we call a yellow sheet to show a reconciliation for adjustments that we plan to make to the city general fund. So what we originally had proposed a budget back on August the 7th, where we added 2 additional mills to the city general fund. And so what we're bringing back today is, instead of having 2 mills, we're going to go 1.5 mills. And what we have on the screen is showing the half mill and the reductions that we plan to take to get to that half mill. So the half mill is worth $1,050,000. And so one of the first things that we plan to do to find savings for that $1,050,000 is realize some savings over in our city bond and interest fund. And I'll let our CFO, Dr. Shelley Knieven, discuss the item that we're going to do over in the bond and interest fund to save $400,000.
Shelley Knieven, Chief Financial Officer. So at the urging of the commission and the mayor, we are always looking for ways that we might be able to pay off debt early. And we identified that we still had 4 years worth of payments that were related to the renovations in the downtown hotel some time ago. And we've had a community improvement district in place, and it's still collecting money, and the money's going into a fund So we checked with bond counsel. Bond counsel said that is an eligible cost to be paid from the community improvement district to pay for the debt. And so that is the $404,123 that we will not pay from the bond and interest fund, which is funded with property taxes primarily. But we will pay for that debt payment from the CID because it's an eligible cost. So that was a way that then that essentially frees up some funds for the city general fund. But it also is following up on the direction you all have given, which we need to look at ways to try and pay off our debt and pay it off early. We do have enough money, not just to pay next year, but we have enough money to pay all 4 years. And then the CID continues generating money that can be used to renovate that project area for another like 10 years. So if you have any questions, glad to answer. But we thought this was a good thing to bring forward.
Based on the $1,050,000 that we will have a reduction in revenue for, what,
Mr.
Dr.
Mr. Lanes, I hate to interrupt. Got a question. Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, hey, I was looking at your, where'd he go? Security cameras, illegal dumping, 100 grand. I'm getting ready to buy a whole bunch of cameras for the sheriff's department in the parks. And, yeah, I'm not gonna spend nowhere near that. I'm gonna spend like 5 grand and it's gonna be a lot of cameras, which they all have a cell service. Which they go, as soon as they take a picture, it goes right to real time. And then you can take each picture and turn it into a 30-second video. And they're only like $232 a piece.
So Alan House, Assistant County Administrator. The 100,000 was a ballpark estimate for cameras as well as license plate reader cameras. And these could be deployed in a permanent, or some could be deployed in a temporary kind of mobile fashion. We know the issues around illegal dumping are happening in concentrated areas, but they're also popping up in other areas of the community. So having that flexibility, as well as tying the cameras into the police department's real-time crime center. So these aren't like a trail camera where you just, put it up and it takes pictures and you go or get a card. This would actually be feeding data into the real-time crime center so that police and we can have a stronger enforcement mechanism around that.
Right, well, this is what these will do too. You don't need a card. These are, yeah, you don't need a card for these either. But just why are we blowing all this 100 grand when we can get these other cameras that work just as good and they actually come with a solar, or like a little solar panel. It keeps the battery charged, and it'd be very cost effective than blowing 100 grand. Very cost effective. So, yeah. I mean, we should look into that one. But I understand where you're coming. I mean, yeah, there's spots where the cameras you're talking about. I mean, you got to have a hard line, right?
And we have a pretty extensive camera program that we
Right.
developed.
No,
over the
I
past
know
couple
that.
of
What I'm
years.
saying
So-
is that there has to be a hard line to run these. But these cameras, you don't need a hard line.
No, respectfully, some of them are hardline on fiber and there's others that are cellular based and sending that information back. So we have, a mix of those cameras across the network. Some of them we have, this has been developed over a number of years. You've got traffic cameras. You've also got specific ones like the license plate reader cameras, which tie into a separate database. They're sort of a separate camera. So this was based on staff's sort of best estimate of several years, many years of doing this work and kind of getting an initial ballpark. Here are some of the areas that we want to concentrate on. And here's what we think would be a reasonable number that would allow for those cameras to be purchased, set up, installed. Because it's not just the hardware piece of it, it's the company coming out and installing those cameras and then hooking them back up into the real-time crime center and the network. So there's a networking component to it. So this is, it wasn't pulled out of air. It was, here's kind of the parameters we're looking for. What is a reasonable ballpark number for that?
Interesting. All right, yeah, I'm gonna look into that. That's pretty cool though, but all right, thank you.
So Dr. Shelley Kneven, she did just speak about us paying off bond and interest that we were paying on the hotel. And that's going to produce $404,000 in savings. So that deduction from the $1,050,000 leaves us with about $646,000 that we needed to find funding for. So down in the expenditure change section, that's where we are making some expenditure changes. So first, we're starting out with, there was some conversation within the budget season about frozen animal services positions. So we're going to fund one animal service position for $70,000. And then we're also going to fund a frozen streets division position for $91,000. And with these two positions, what we're doing is we're unfunding two other positions for that. So one would be operations business officer, professional assistant, that's also in Public Works. And then we're doing a realignment of a land bank position. Land bank is a county function, and right now this position had been paid out of the city, so it would be moving over to the county general fund. And another item that we also have there that we're adding is the security cameras that Commissioner Lopez just inquired about. And then going down, we have the BPU water tower painting that will happen. We have that in the city general fund. We're going to move that over to our tourism fund to free up money in the city general fund. And then we originally had parking meter upgrades to happen in 2026 for $175,000. We're going to push that project out a year. For technology data migration, well, we had an $82,000 budget for that. We're going to reduce it by $40,000, which will leave $42,000 for that particular project. Then we had building security upgrades in the 2026 budget in an amount of $25,000 or in an amount of $50,000. And we're going to reduce that by $25,000, leaving a $25,000 budget. Also, we had some identified telephone savings that is in the IT department. IT department kind of pays the telephone bill for the whole organization. So we had put an incremental amount within the budget for IT to pay the telephone bills. So we are taking that incremental amount down that we added by $80,000. And then also we're going to shift fire department support vehicle funding sources. We're going to shift that to our internal service fund because the EMS fund has some funding to be able to pay for that, and we were paying it out of our city general fund. And then animal services vehicles, we had $250,000 within the budget, and that was going to buy 2 vehicles. And so now we reduced that to $125,000, where they would be able to get 1 vehicle. And so this funding that we have put forward balances out the $1,050,000 for reducing the half mil. So I'll turn it back over to our County Administrator, David Johnston.
Thank you, Director. Commissioner Stites has a question.
Yeah, Stites, District 7. Thanks, Reggie. So if you would, on the realignment of land bank position, which was funded out of the city for how long? How many years? I mean, would you guess?
We'll let Michael Peterson answer
Okay.
that question.
So that position specifically was Michael Peterson, Deputy Budget Director. That was one of the positions that moved over from Parks, and Parks is kind of a joint city county fund. So a portion of it was paid out of there, and a portion of it was paid out of the I believe it was paid out of the city general fund, and it moved when we moved it, we just didn't align it to the fund that it should have been aligned with for the function that it was performing.
So now it's just, it was funded totally on the city side. And now it's going to be totally funded from the county side because the city side of the ledger's struggling. So it seems to me like it should have a shared cost, because that's what the whole consolidated parks fund is all about, that they both equally should, not equally, the formula that you use, it should be a shared cost from the city and the county.
So-
I mean, is that right? Or am I thinking crazy or?
So this has been something, again, Michael Peterson, Deputy Budget Director, this has been something that we've been working on aligning for some years. And we did not have a great understanding of what lots the Parks Department was mowing at the time that we did the initial allocation. So we now have information that all of the lots that the Parks Department was mowing, that this person oversaw, were land bank lots. And that is, we do have a county land bank, not a city land bank. And so if we had known that at the time, that cost should have been aligned, that cost we would have originally aligned in the county general fund.
How many land bank properties are outside of KCK?
I don't think we have that count here.
I mean, probably very few, right? Handful, five maybe at the 10, the tops. So the county is funding all of the land bank mowing that is primarily in the city of KCK. That's kind of what I'm getting at. It sure seems like the ratio is off. That the county is taking care of all the land bank properties that are in KCK.
There is there's more funding right now for mowing of land bank lots on the city side of the budget than there is on the county side of the budget. I cannot tell you the exact number, but I do know that contractually, there's more funding for mowing of land bank lots on the city side of the budget than the county side of the budget.
Well, I would think so, since there's, I mean, theoretically, not any in the outside of KCK.
That is true. 90% of the taxpayers in Wyandotte County live in KCK. So 90% of that tax revenue does come from Kansas City, Kansas.
Is that 90% of the taxpayers live in
Maybe not
KCK?
number, but valuation, it's roughly 90% of the Wyandotte County taxes come from Kansas City, Kansas.
Okay. All right. And then, so thank you. And then the other question that I had, so there was 2 animal service vehicles listed, right? And you said that there was an amount of $250,000. And then you've reduced that down to 125, which will allow you to purchase just one, correct?
That is correct.
So I'm assuming that type of a vehicle is a pickup truck with the dog or the animal carrier on the back. Is that what we're
Yes.
talking about? Okay, so 125 outfits a one vehicle.
That is correct.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Now I'll turn it back over to County Administrator David Johnston.
Thank you, Director. Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you. Sorry, David. Can you tell us this would be a this yellow sheet would be what we could offer to attain a 1.5 mil rather than 2 on the city side of the budget. Can you tell me what that mill levy rate would be at 1.5? I mean, the total mills, would it be like 34.5? Or what would it be? What would it bring the city mill levy rate to? I'm sorry, you've given us the city mill levy rate many times, but it's in this.
33.9.
Thank you. 33.9 would be the city mill levy rate
Yes.
if we adopt at this 1.5.
Yes.
Thank you, Reggie. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioners. Administrator. Sorry, Administrator. Commissioner Hill.
It's 34. I'm correct. It's 34.9. Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask Mr. Reggie a question. Where you have freeze operations, business office, professional assistant, is that different from procurement and small businesses? Is this a whole different business office? I'm just trying to understand.
So this is the Public Works Business Office,
Okay,
so it's
okay,
separate from purchasing.
okay, okay. I always forget, Commissioner Hill, District 4. And then my next question, could you explain, you mentioned the 404,123 with bond and interest fund, and I think Dr. Kneven explained it, but I don't think I understood that. Where does that 404,000, where does it go? Do we pay something off with that? I think, or does it go back into the fund that we're able to spend with this new budget? So I'm just trying to understand. Thank you.
So Shelley Kneven, Chief Financial Officer. So what this does is reduce the requirement for the bond and interest fund on the city side paid with property taxes. It reduces it by $404,000 because we can use a different funding source, which is in a different fund, the Community Improvement District, to repay the debt because it was for the hotel, which is where the CID is collecting money. So it just allows us to use this other funding source. We'll still be repaying our debt. We'll go ahead and pay it all off. So this benefit will hit the budget to a positive for the next 4 years. We'll go ahead and pay it off early. We have enough money sitting in that account to do so. So does that help? And then that frees up the money that won't be needed there that we can then use over for the operating side because we don't need that 400 for the debt side. Because both of them are paid for by city property tax. And then the operating fund has other revenue sources too. Does that help, Commissioner?
Yes, that does help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Administrator?
So when we left last week's meeting, I think we were, we heard that the straw poll that the mayor took at the end of that meeting, and there was a desire to reduce the city side of the budget. When we showed you a little further, and it was a struggle to even to reduce it to this point, but we did. So when you take a look at all the actions that we did, remember when we started the budget process, we initially recommended a mill cap rate at 5 mills. You directed us to be lower. We came back with a 3 mill cap, and you agreed to that, and I agreed to a budget recommendation. I'll bring a budget recommendation under 3 mills. And my budget recommendation was a budget with a 2 mill increase, which led to discussions to say from all the way through last week, we would like to see at the city side something less. Throughout our budget process, the staff and I talked to you about on the operations budget, we have really over the last few years, even the years before I got here, continually cut our budget to the bone. There's not that much more that we comfortably can recommend many more cuts that we can recommend, because what we've been listening to over the last few years are there's a certain amount of levels of service that the public and you want us to provide the public. But we also heard that we want it to be within a reasonable amount of revenue from our public. And from the information that we shared with you during this budget process, I think we've been very transparent in the process that we've done with our staff, that to get to that 2 mil increase, that things we told the departments we weren't going to agree to include in their budgets, some things that we adjusted, that we weren't going to fund all of their recommendations in their budget, and things we absolutely would not include. And then come this round, we are adjusting more. We still have to provide a certain level of service. That's our focus as your staff, and that we are comfortable that we are recommending. We can't really cut much more to deliver the recommended levels of service that we're hearing you want us to provide the citizens, and what we're hearing the expectations from the citizens themselves. We have provided you with a list of discretionary services that I can't cut because they're your decisions. And if you would like us to adjust those funding those services, we need to hear from you to include those for your consideration to take out of the budget if you want further cuts. To date, we have not heard from any of you to cut any of those items, but we're open to work with you on that. And all that. We have provided you with the capital improvement program, which is made up of cash and debt from the departments tonight for your review and discussion. And some of that can add immediate savings, like from the cash side. And so we've broken that up into some, we have debt schedules, we have cash schedules, and we can talk through those and how that can, if you don't agree or you want to push some things out, how that can impact the 26 budget. We can have those discussions tonight as well. So you have that information in front of you. And so we're willing to have that conversation.
Thank you, Administrator. I think just to cap what the Administrator is saying, I just really want to applaud our staff. This year, they've really given us a plethora of information based on the recommendations of myself, this commission, and the community, trying to get as much information, unlike anything I've ever seen in the past. So you as commissioners can make an informed decision. The Administrator reminds me, this is your budget, commission, to make for the people of Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas. And there's a lot of discretion in there. What the Administrator was talking about, just me meeting with him, I wanted him to present all this to you all. I did ask the Administrator to see if there's other areas from staff to help you all get to where you said you wanted to be at our last meeting, to find cuts. And that's what this first presentation was about. This is what staff came up with. There are other items that can be cut if you want to get it, the budget beneath that, and that's really what the Administrator's saying, but that's your call. Staff was willing to meet you all halfway and say, these are things that we feel that we could find, that we had discretion, but there's a lot of other information there to where this commission, if you so choose, could continue making cuts, because I know some of you, as far as wanting to have a revenue neutral budget without going revenue neutral, that was mentioned at the last meeting. And the other side of that was, I know a couple commissioners said they were fine with the original recommendation, but somewhere in the middle is what we really focus on. The vast majority of you all, when I took that straw poll, were either wanted to not exceed the incoming appraised flux evaluations increase that we would get, that would be translated into a property tax increase. and not capture the additional 2 mil increase that was originally proposed. And so the administrator and staff did this on the Kansas City, Kansas side. What is challenged, and correct me if I'm wrong, Administrator, is the county side. It is really tight, to say the least. But again, staff and administrator, just from my conversation with the administrator, they will do whatever you ask them to do, whatever you direct them to do, and that's what they're looking for at this point. They've squeezed more juice out of the turnip, per se, and so they're just looking for you all to walk through this information with them, and if there's additional cuts that need to be made, they're willing to make that. What will happen moving forward beyond this is staff will be meeting with you all one-on-one at some point in the next week to further go through the cuts they've made and to take your recommendations on any additional cuts that you would like presented in the final proposed budget that the administrator has noted to me. His staff has worked really hard. This has been a long, tenuous process for him and this staff, and they're kind of at the point to where they really need this commission to make a hard decision on the budget and get this thing wrapped up. So thank you, staff. Thank you, administrator. You want to add anything, David?
No, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Kane?
Thank you, Mayor. We're certainly in a rock and a hard spot. And if we raise the mill 1.5, would we be able to restore, like cutting the lots, fixing parallel parkway as you're coming to the east? And there would there be any layoffs with this?
In the city general fund, if we have the 1.5 mills, we wouldn't have to lay any people off. Also, we would be able to do a great deal of pavement preservation on parallel. Also, what was your third question?
The
Lots. So one of the things that we do have in this budget for lots are definitely the additional $100,000 for cameras. We do have inside the organization where we have a group of departments working together to get the mowing right, but we haven't added any additional funding. But we are like seeing how we could shuffle resources, but we don't have any additional funding for it.
I guess my last question is, if we dig any deeper, do we lay anybody off?
So within the city general fund, we would definitely be eating our fund balance up. So we do have fund balance in the city general fund.
But then we'd be strapped in a couple of years,
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Right.
that's correct.
Thank you, Mayor.
And it's a different story on the county general fund. The county general fund doesn't have any fund balance to eat into. So there would definitely have to be layoffs.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ultimately, the decision for layoffs rests with the county administrator based on the information he'll have. Those are personnel matters. I can tell you at this point where we're at, even with potential additional cuts that are reasonable and responsible, the administrator is going to do everything he can to protect and preserve our staff. And if there are movements that need to be made, as we know through the, as presented in the consolidation study report, the preferred method is always to do that through attrition. So thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, I was just, what's going on with this BPU water tower you have on here?
I'll let County Administrator Johnson answer that question.
I could do it. Commissioner, that was, if you remember when Village West first came up, the original water tower had Welcome to Kansas City, Kansas. They repainted it, and I don't know who made that decision, but they replaced Welcome to Kansas City, Kansas with a BPU. And so talking to Mr. Ash, the general manager at BPU, they're willing to take us there with a shared visual that would highlight and market and promote our community pride in Kansas City, Kansas, especially the #1 tourist destination in the great state of Kansas being out at Village West, I think was the original intent. And there was a cost associated with that. Originally, it was going to come out of the general fund. There is money, I believe, in the the fund that's listed there, which is a more appropriate place if you're going to do something like that, to take that out of. Those funds have been sitting there idly, so staff made the recommendation to not bother the general fund and preserve that fund money and use it in the more appropriate place where that's what that purpose should be used for, is that tourism fund, and market our city appropriately. So that's how that came about, is we're just trying to restore the original visualization of the water tower.
So you're saying there's 75,000 back in our pocket to reallocate it? Is that what you're trying to say?
So how
I'm trying to understand this.
Oh, so Reginald Lindsay, Unified Government Budget Director. So why it's on the yellow sheet is originally we had it in our city general fund, and we were going to pay the $75,000. And after discussion, we decided to move it over to our tourism fund, to move the $75,000 over to our tourism fund, because it is something that qualifies to advertise the city of Kansas City, Kansas. It could fit into our tourism fund.
So like, instead of that, we could move it over to the Public Works and fix potholes with that too, right?
So would, that doesn't, is dedicated to tourism.
Well, that could be tourism. I mean, they're trying to come and tour, but they can't because they're hitting potholes everywhere. I don't know, just thought.
I think, Commissioner, that would fall under the definition of maintenance. This is tourism, marketing our city, placards, things of that nature. They had to go back and look and see where that money could be used. And that,
Well, I mean, you could fix potholes and then paint on them. It says, welcome to Kansas City, Kansas. All over the place. Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
all right, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, I agreed only to go 2 mills, both with the city and the county. I realize the county cannot reduce it any lower without causing a lot of problems. Along Commissioner Keene's question, I had the same thing. And I can ask the administrator this question. Are we going to be able to do things for the public that they've asked us to do that people can actually see, like streets being improved? Not one street. You know, there's State Avenue too, there's Leavenworth Road, there's other major thoroughfares that need paving too. At 1.5 mil, are we going to be able to do those things, or will we have to put those things on hold? If not, we should go, my recommendation is to go 2 mills on both sides. Still.
We originally had a street preservation fund that was solely funded through our state shared revenue that we had. And this year we were going to be earmarking the older part of our community, if I recall, in the central part of KCK, because it's certain parts of the old part of town is due for attention. And so that's where its focus was. But with the advent of one-time money from Plaza at the Speedway, we were able to expand that to meet the public's attention, that brought it to our attention that Parallel Parkway needs attention, and we can do a significant amount of Parallel Parkway resurfacing, because I think we all understand that how bad that road is in our city. So that one-time revenue can be attributed to that, so the public will see that improvement in action, as well as the state shared revenue money that we would be putting into action as well. We have one or two washed out roads that need to be repaired as well from the recent bad storm that we had about a month and a half ago. So, so emergency work can be also funded by the revenue that we have. Unfortunately, we can't rely on one-time revenue all the time. And so we're taking advantage of the one-time revenue when we can and making it work. And so the public will see that. I think what we always have to deal with is when the public sees us take advantage of one-time revenue to a larger scale, they have a higher amount of expectation to meet that level every year. But we just have to be upfront with our folks every year that we don't have this one-time revenue to have an expanded improvement program every year. But when we have it, we use it and to make that investment into our community.
Okay, my question, and I'm going to put you in a hot box, is this. If we went to the 2 mills, would it make your job a lot easier for you and your staff to do things that the citizens have asked us to do? Yes or no?
Well, having more resources allows us to do more work in the community, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would remind, respectfully, Commissioner Byrne, we had a room full of individuals, and since I've been mayor, we've had a room full of individuals that have talked about our budget. The number one priority for our residents, everywhere I go throughout Kansas City, Kansas, and Wyandotte County, and all 4 corners and everything in between, is property tax relief, fee relief, and BPU pilot and rate increase relief. That is the shared consensus across this county, young and old. I can show you every social media outlet. That's all they talk about. I can go to every door. I can tell you if it's not property tax, it's BPU. And I say that respectfully with the sense I believe this budget has been put together. And if you look at the cash project schedule and the debt project schedule that's in front of you, it lists several projects that have been included in the 2026 budget that have not been removed, along with capital equipment that is still there to be purchased. We did not go revenue neutral, so that is going to free up. It's not going to box this commission in like previously, so we'll allow for a lot of projects to proceed forward. But even revenue neutral didn't box you in because these CMIP projects, I believe, and I know our public works director is here as well, and he could probably speak more to that. Troy, if you can talk, it's a question for both me and Mr. Burns. Talk about, if you don't mind, I'd just like to further expound on his question on the capital projects that have occurred this year, with even being revenue neutral, and then what that's going to look like for next year. Always money, more money is a great thing. We could do a lot of things, but money isn't infinite, and we are really tight on our budget. So I just would like to make sure you're reminded of that.
Yep, Troy Shaw, Public Works Director. It's a huge open-ended question, so I'll start talking and you feel free to let me know if you have questions or want anything else. So historically, Administrator mentioned State and Parallel Avenue. We were actually planning on doing those this year with the funds. I think a few commissioners already know this and have reached out when we didn't do them. Then our funding was removed at the end of last year to do pavement preservation. So we've known about those for a while, and we are hopeful that we know if this money comes that the administrator talked about, those are the first ones parallel in state or that on top of our list because we've been trying to do them for a few years. So I will note that even with the one-time funding that we'll get, that puts us around 12 or 13 million for pavement preservation. That's about where we were 2 years ago. So it's great. We can do work with it and the public will see it, but it's nowhere near where we need to be in the long run. So we need to keep building towards that and find other ways to improve. So A couple of things you'll see on here that the administrator mentioned was some of the storm damage we had. And I know Commissioner Kane's seen a couple and other commissioners in the area where we've had box culverts that the wing walls have collapsed and the road's starting to go away. A couple of those are in here. There's a couple roads that were mentioned that stormwater took the roads and kind of just moved the whole road out of the way. We've temporarily stabilized those and they're open enough to use, but we need to permanently fix those roads, and those are shown in here with some of the extra money. This year we've done a little bit of pavement preservation. We're actually kind of holding right now. We have another contract we're putting out, but we're holding on that given the outcome of this, because if some of the budget money gets approved in cash this year, we have to bid it and get it awarded by the end of the year for the cash. So we've got a contract ready to go. We're just kind of holding until the budget's finalized to put it out. So you'll see some more work being bid out this fall, and then that work will be, what's not done this year will be done next spring as well on that contract. Obviously there work being done on our consent decree and sewer separation projects. That's all the stuff you've seen downtown over the last year. Some ARPA projects as well that have been going on that were from that one-time money that we saw, and you've seen a lot of that this year. And then we will, trying to think of all the other stuff we got going on. I don't know, any other questions? I can keep going, but if there's any specific questions about projects or anything, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you. Stand by. I got it. Real quick, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. So the one we've talked about multiple meetings now, parallel from 7th to 18th. It's a go. You had mentioned it as an emergency repair.
That is in, that chunk right there is in the group that we're holding on the bid right now. So
Okay.
it is planned to be done.
Thank you.
Yes,
I wanted to know.
correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm next.
You're not. Commissioner Hill? Commissioner Hill?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I didn't have a question necessarily for Public Works. I just wanted some clarification. The $5 million that we potentially was supposed to receive from the Royals, did we receive that money? Was it just put in the general fund, or has it been allocated out? Just kind of what is the report of that $5 million?
Shelley Knieven, Chief Financial Officer. We have not gotten that money yet. It's not until we actually close on the bonds that we would get that money. We are in the process of doing all the legal work, the revenue studies to prepare for issuance of the bonds, but we're not quite there yet. We're several months away. So it's not in the budget yet because we don't know exactly when that will happen. But that will, by your all's direction, by the agreement, will come back to the commission for direction on what to do with that money. So it hasn't been spent, it hasn't been spoken for. That will be a future decision.
Okay, I don't know why, for some reason, I thought that once we signed the paperwork on that, but maybe that's what you were just saying, it wasn't signed yet, that those funds would be directed at least to the general fund. But it's interesting that we started that project early this year, and it just hasn't come into fruition yet. So thank you very much. I was excited about getting that one-time piece of revenue, but we just don't have it yet. So thank you.
Well, Commissioner, this is David Johnston, County Administrator. Just to clear that up, what you did approve was the development agreement, and in that development agreement was language that once the STAR bonds are issued, then that money will come in. So the STAR bonds have yet to be issued. Once those STAR bonds are issued, that revenue will come in, and then it'll be before you of how we will deal with that money. So just be patient. The STAR bonds have not been issued yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Administrator. Commissioner Davis?
Thank you, Commissioner Davis, District 8. Wanted to ask a few questions on the cameras, and I'm so glad we are moving on that. And I do hope it won't cost $100,000, but what I want something high quality and something that will last, right? How many cameras do we know? And then have we identified the number of locations to address this issue with illegal dumping?
Allen House System Administrator, I don't have an exact count for you off of that. We were, identifying that area basically between City Park and around 38th up to around 64th as one of those target areas that's come up in multiple instances. I think Mayor, that was the area that you toured as well and assisted with. So that's certainly one. There are other areas that have been sort of chronic areas of dumping. So again, I don't know if that answers your question, Commissioner, but yes, they would be high quality cameras. And it'd be part of, as I mentioned earlier, this broader camera network that we have that ties into the Real-Time Crime Center so that we can also connect that to the enforcement that the commission has also expressed a desire to see more of.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think whenever we can get that information, that would be phenomenal. And I know staff has put out some requests for us to send them some recommendations for location. So I'm glad to see that on the budget. In regards to street preservation let's just start with Parallel. How far are we going for Parallel? Do we know how many blocks?
Troy Shaw, Public Works Director. I'm going to answer that with that depends on how much money we get. Currently, as Commissioner Bynum brought up, if there are no additional funds provided, we do have the chunk already planned between 7th and 18th, that area down there. Our hope would be at one point, our intent was to go basically all the way out to almost 435 on both state and Parallel a couple years ago with that funding. I don't know if the funding we have now is probably not going to be enough to do all of that. But our intent is to get as much of that. And if we have to skip a mile chunk of State Avenue where the roads are in better condition than other areas, we'll do that just to cover as much as we can.
Yeah. And I do remember, and I know, Director Shaw, we've had conversations about kind of the impact of revenue neutral and what that's had on state. Approximately, and just your estimation, how much does it cost? I know we were looking at kind of a mill overlay. How much does it cost per block? Do you know?
I'm going to have Brandon Grover come up and tell you that one. He can tell you exactly probably.
Good evening, Brandon Grover, Road and Bridge Program Manager. To do a standard 2-inch mill and overlay of an asphalt road, we don't really break it down per block since those kind of vary a little bit. We do per mile. So for a mile of a 2-lane road with not doing any curb and gutter or anything like that, it's running right now between $220,000 and $230,000 per center line mile.
Okay. And then how much do y'all have budgeted right now for Parallel?
Currently for the section that Commissioner Bynum mentioned, what we're calling the emergency section, between 9th and 18th is about 550,000. That's a concrete section, so it's a little more to mill that up, and we have to go a little deeper to get a better surface on it. The rest of the program that comes from the dedicated sales tax and the special street and highway is about 5.1, 5.2 million. And if the budget gets approved, how it's currently sitting with the Plaza, the Speedway money, there was an extra 6.2 million potentially allocated to this. So we could potentially cover quite a bit of state and Parallel, potentially doing some other treatments besides mill and overlay in sections that don't necessarily need something that full depth.
We're talking close to about $10 million between those two sources of revenue. So for 250,000, give or take, per mile, I think we'd be able to get a good chunk of it done. So I'm glad to see that we have that in the budget and definitely support it. My last question, and I don't want to get too ahead here. Actually, I'll wait because I know we'll have the CIP coming up. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Davis, just to clarify something real quick. When we have funds from the dedicated sales tax, the Fund 212, those funds cannot be used on arterial roads like State and Parallel. Those have to be earmarked for neighborhood roads. So that 4.3 million cannot be used on that.
Gotcha. I'm sure we all have some neighborhood roads. I have some that come to mind that can use that funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stites?
Stites, District 7. So on the, and I'm gonna start with this little thing, and I say it's little. It's kind of interesting how we'll cuss and discuss all about $75,000 for a water tower. And go head over heels over trying to figure that out. But here's what I'm gonna say. What else can that $75,000 be used for? I don't know what's in the tourism and convention fund. What are some other things that could be used for?
Anything that promotes tourism in Wyandotte County.
Like, give me an example. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know Commissioner Lopez said potholes, but I know that doesn't apply. But like, what are some items? I don't know.
So we definitely have some of our signature parks. We have funding for those in
Signature parks.
Yeah, within the tourism fund. We have things like the fund projects for the Rock Island Bridge. That's funding for that. Also, we have funding for things for Memorial Hall that are funded out of there because it brings people from all over the metro, and some people travel from out of town for events that are held there.
Okay, well, whenever it comes time that we have our one-on-one, I'm gonna tell you, I'm totally against spending $75,000 to paint a water tower that's already fine. It's kind of like going and saying, well, just because I'm gonna go put new tires on my car, even though the tires that are on my car are fine. I'm gonna go paint a water tower just because. Now, if we were at the end of the life expectancy of that paint, right, and it needed to be painted, I'm all on board. I'd like to know, when is that supposed to happen? Like, when does BPU expect that needs to be painted, right? Because there's all sorts of things that you just named that has been a concern of people that come in here and ask us for. The parks, you said it can go into parks. It can go, we had a rock wall or that needed fixed, or a marina that needed fixed. We docks, I don't know, that's tourism, right? So that's 75. I'm not interested in painting a tower that doesn't need painted. I don't care what it says. It could stay whatever color it is right now for eternity, for all I care. That's not what our constituents aren't running around here saying, man, I sure wish that would hit a pothole. Well, I wish that tower looks nice though. They don't care. Okay, I'll leave it at that. So Troy, you sat down. I know that I asked you to stay, but on the public works side of the ledger, on the county side, it shows, I don't remember the amount, about 5 million, or an amount that goes to public works out of the county side. Right? Do you guys know what that is right off the bat?
I'll have to let budget and finance tell me that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to know it.
I mean, some of it would be GSS now, since the geospatial services moved to public works. So basically funds personnel. I think there's $1 million or so in that one, if I remember. I can't remember what that is. But I know that's there. So that would be in the county side because it's a county service.
So what is that amount?
So Michael Peterson, Deputy Budget Director, the majority of that should be GSS. There is very little that is in public works outside of
like
geospatial services in the county side of the budget.
So for like mapping and such.
Yes.
What was that amount? That's what I don't know. What's the amount?
Look it up.
I'm not sure about that one. It's mostly in personnel and equipment.
And the reason I'm asking is people that are outside of Kansas City, Kansas, are asking me that. Why are we funding public works? And I just want to be able to answer. So that's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah, as to my knowledge, public works doesn't spend money outside of mostly KCK unless it's in the Loring area, from the county standpoint, other than the county provided services that are now fall under Public Works, which would be GSS.
Okay.
So if budget can correct me on that, but I don't know that I can't think of any place where we would spend money.
And I couldn't either.
Yeah.
Whenever I was asked about it, that's why I'm asking. Sounds like they might have an answer. And you know what, Reggie, so I'm not holding everybody up. If you want to get with me, if you want to shoot me an email,
Oh,
get that.
It's $1 million.
Or
It's $1
any-
million.
It's $1 million.
Yes.
So $1 million goes to Public Works on the county side of the budget to fund mapping and GIS and
Yes.
all that. Thank you. I just wanted that answer. So, of the 41, and I know it's not exact, but we were presented a non-discretion or discretionary funds. And on the city side and on the county side, it totaled roughly at $41 million, right? And I know that that's not equal, right? It's not 20.5 on the city and 20.5 on the county, right? But there's $41 million of discretionary funds that we or items that we fund. Of this new sheet right here, what off of that is off of the discretionary spending, if any?
So Michael Peterson, Deputy Budget Director. So all of the capital items on the sheet would be on the discretionary list. So that would be parking meter upgrades, data migration project, building security updates, fire department support vehicles, animal services vehicles. The positions were realigned as they became vacant for other uses. And that's the basics of that list.
So you're saying, and I just picked up on one that you said, fire department support vehicles is discretionary spending?
It would be listed under our cash. It just depends on whether there's more useful life. Those were one-time cash purchases.
Okay, so here's what I'm getting at, and I know that administrator said that there was not any discussion or limited discussion, or I'm not really sure what he said, about not entertaining dipping into that list of discretionary spending. I mentioned it. Matter of fact, Commissioner Bynum actually said, when I said, 50% cut, 25%, I'm just throwing a number out there. I don't know what the number was, but if we were to take a 10% out of that discretionary, that list, that's $4.1 million. Just 10% off a whole lot of, oh, you know what that is? That noise? That's my little fan up here that's blowing. Sorry about that. I got to stay cool up here under pressure. So there's that's 4.1 million roughly. Yeah, I'm not just saying that exactly. And of the county side and of the city side, I don't know how it breaks down, but I'm going to tell you that when I go and have my one-on-one, I'm interested in looking at how we could just 10% come off of that discretionary funding that helps bridge some of these gaps, $4.1 million. So that's one thing that I'll just kind of putting it out there up front. Now, the $5 million American Royal one-time injection into our budget, right? That's not budgeted in. That's not shown anywhere in our budget at all, right? But we know that we're going to get it, right? That's our plan, right? And then, so once that comes to us, then we're going to decide what and that's open. We can use that on anything, right? Chocolate milk and donuts if we want, right? But okay, so my thinking on that is when we talk about, and it's funny that we talk about roads and roads and roads and potholes and filling things in, But yet the first thing that got cut out of Wyandotte County on the county side of the budget was sci-fi. And what did sci-fi do? Sci-fi funded exactly what we're talking about. The roads, infrastructure, potholes, and at a county mill, at one county mill, which is roughly $2 million, the city, KCK, would receive $1 million. Edwardsville and Bonner would split up, and this is rough, I'm just saying. They would split the other remaining 50%, which is about $500,000 apiece. But yet that's the first thing that we cut out, and here we are, we're talking about how do we continue to fund to fix our streets, and we're cutting out the exact funds that it's just not making any sense to me. I know we're tied on the county side, right? I get it. So why don't we look at some of the things non-discretionary on the county side that would get us to that 1 mil to fund sci-fi that would fund all four corners of this county in addressing the items that our constituents have came and asked for us. I'm sure, Troy, you'd like to have another $1 million, right? To fix parallel further out, right? We just heard that it was $230,000 per, I think, a mile. You know what? $1 million sure gets a lot more done. So, and I know that, it's kind of a little bit of a joke. People, it's Stites in the sci-fi because it, benefits Bonner and Edwardsville. That I represent KCK also. Everybody needs to remember that, right? So being able to fund sci-fi means KCK gets another $1 million to address our road issues, our crumbling infrastructure. Now, and I also will say this, our crumbling infrastructure didn't happen in the last 9 months of revenue neutral. It's been happening, folks. We haven't funded it properly. We're not trying to figure out ways. There's discretionary money that we have right here that we have the ability. And then, if we put the sci-fi in the budget right now, and then by end of year, like Shelley said, that this $5 million injection into our budget from the American Royal comes in, there's the money to do it. This doesn't take effect till next year, folks. And we've taken care of another problem that's needed out here. So anyway, sci-fi, I'm good with that. And also, how much money did we, I'm going to say lose, because that's how I look at it, when we approved the new development agreement for the hotel at the casino, right? Now it comes back. Now it's coming back to us, and we're like, holy crud, we could have used that money now. They haven't broke ground. They haven't done squat. And I'm not saying anybody voted wrong or anything. I'm just saying those things have actions later on down the road that affect our budget. And here we are today, forced with tough decisions to be made whenever the casino promised us they were going to build 250 rooms and pay this amount. And then they come in and say they're going to build 125 rooms, and they want out of their penalty phase. It makes no sense to me. That's all. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill? Commissioner Hill? We'll come back.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Lowe?
Thank you, Mayor. This is Hill District 4. This question is for Mr. Troy, and if not him, it doesn't matter who answers. You mentioned earlier about the sales tax cannot be used for state and parallel those two streets, but it had to be for neighborhood streets. And does it also include alleys? Because I've had several constituents ask me about the holes and the disrepair in alleys. So I'm just curious as, do we have funding for that, or is that limited, or does it come out of this bucket or another bucket? Thank you.
So typically, or historically, we've been putting a line item in the budget for alley improvements. I think we started that 5 or 6 years ago because we recognize that the alleys are in struggling. I can't remember, I don't believe in this proposed budget there's any for alleys in there. However, to your point, I believe that those funds could be used for alleys as long as they're residential alleys in neighborhoods. I'd have to check the description of that. Brandon, you think that's acceptable? No?
You'd have to check.
Okay, we'll have to check the description for when that, basically is when that was voted on. We have to follow whatever was approved in the vote. So when that came through, so we'd have to clarify that. I don't know that we've ever used it for alleys before because we've had a funding source for that. So we would have to check on that and then maybe even get an opinion from legal as to if they think that's appropriate or not.
If the sales tax isn't used for alleys, then what funding do we use for alleys?
We typically put it in a line item in the budget, either whether that's either just general fund cash or it's debt a lot of times because we mill and overlay alleys is what historically we've used.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Troy. Commissioner Lopez.
Yes, sir. Troy, real quick, sorry. So State Avenue, do we see any infrastructure money from the state for State Avenue? Because that's a state highway.
No, State Avenue is no longer a state highway on that portion of it. State Avenue is now ours. I think it switches over at K7 now. I think it goes, when you go west, it turns into a state highway, and at K7, it drops off and it becomes local.
Same with Kansas Avenue?
No, Kansas Avenue is a different than.
Well, what I'm getting at.
K32 is a highway still.
Right. But
State Avenue is no longer 2440.
what I like to know is why is DOT still on State Avenue pulling trucks over? Because the state's getting money from those big tickets that they write. Yeah, I mean, how do we tell DOT to stay off State Avenue?
I just work on the roads.
Right, no, and I understand it, but I'm just saying, why is DOT, I mean, they're treating it as a highway, pulling big trucks over and writing tickets when I'm like, hey, well, if we're responsible for the infrastructure, then why are you banking off of the trucks? How do we tell DOT to stay off State Avenue if it's our baby now?
And you're welcome to do that. As far as I know, they are not pulling people over on state, but maybe you've seen something that I haven't. That's possible too. I don't know.
Yeah. And then, okay, that was my question for you, but so we don't see any state funding for that, right?
Not for State Avenue, no.
Okay, interesting. Okay, thank you. And then for our administrator, our bridges that are currently closed and do fall within the county, are these issues going to be addressed with the 1.5 mil proposal?
Pro Shop Public Works Director, are you talking about the Kansas and Central Avenue bridges that are closed?
Yes.
No, each of those bridges to replace are about $80 million a piece.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't know if that was part of the 1.5 mil proposal. So, okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
Oh, I do not have my hand raised. But thank you, Mayor.
Sorry. Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor. If I may, I want to go back to the $5 million that was in reference to the Royal, if I remember correctly. And we do have staff here. If my information is incorrect, there was a committee that was set aside that will, I believe, have the chair of the Economic Development Committee, Finance Committee, and either the administrator or the mayor to have an appointment or be on the committee to determine how that $5 million is to be spent. So it's not discretionary in reference to just being able to grab it and spend it. It has to go through a process that was in the agreement that was developed. And if that's incorrect, I would hope staff would correct me on that.
Shelley Kneven, CFO. I think it is correct that the committee was established. Ms. Chisholm was just explaining that to me. She also said the agreement specifies that that 5 million has to be used to match other grants. So we would have to find other grants, then that 5 million could match it. So, you know, something like a Central or Kansas Avenue Bridge might be a good option for at least some part of it. But those kinds of things, we could go for grants, but then those dollars would be our local match.
And that was structurally set up that way after much discussion to ensure that it wasn't one-time money and just going in and out. As frivolous as some people want to say that we have discretionary money now, let's spend it. But yet we're still sitting at 44% debt. We're still seeing demands for increase in funding through property tax increases. And we haven't even gotten to the number of other revenue streams that we have, such as the increase in sales tax and increase in use tax, property tax increases, the casino money, and I'm talking about the tribal money that comes in, the ARPA funding that we still have that is still floating through the budget in some places, even though it's been dedicated. We have the pilot fee increases that are coming, even though we've given a minor deduction in pilot fees. We're still not talking about the new development that's going to come online in 26 because the American Royal will be property tax eligible the first of the year because they have not gotten their agreement done. So that development will stand for the entire year as is developed out. And that's just one priority. The other, all the pilots that are out there, I know there's been much discussion in reference to the pilot versus the fees that are being paid into the BPU. I mean, there's a lot of other additional revenues that we haven't had a chance to talk about, but I was really quite surprised the other day when the word delinquency came up because our delinquency is something that I've even tried to address 20 years ago, going through the ECHO and looking at the continued delinquency that we have, and that for a while, unified government even came to the state to change how we looked at delinquency, but our delinquency is continued to stay at about 3 to 7%, floating in there throughout the handful of years. But yet some of the people that are delinquent have been the same people that have been delinquent for 20 years. And so I would hope that we would take a more targeted approach to dealing with our delinquency, because that's money that I'm having to pay because somebody else won't, can't, or don't. And that's, and when I sat here and heard the 40-some members the other night talk about the property tax, it's very difficult for me to sit up here and look at a property tax increase when I'm dealing with 40 people that are stating how onerous they feel that their tax increases are going to be, whether it's one mil or whether it's 20 mils. But in looking at the numbers, the growth that we had on the city was I'm sorry, I want to get back to the right page. We had growth from the city of 22 million, if I remember correctly, at 22 million in the city, and we had revenue growth of 8 million on the county, and that's our struggle. So right there, we have $30 million of new revenue through 2024 or 2025 going into 2026, and we're still asking for additional money. So I guess the question that I raised, being a taxpayer in Wyandotte County and as a member of this commission, I'm now looking at a half a billion dollar budget, a little bit more than that, where 44% of that is to pay for debt, 67% is to pay for salaries. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of meat on the bone, as we've heard from our administrator, where we are financially. But the question I have is, where has all the other money gone? The increase in sales tax that has occurred over the last 10 years, the special revenue that has come in from those taxes, they're in the tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet we're still telling the public that you're going to have to scrape by. There were no layoffs last year. I don't care what anybody says. There were no layoffs last year. That was a mandate from this commission. And if there was a layoff, somebody needs to be reprimanded and or terminated, because that was not the will of this commission. So when we hear about layoffs, how many people were laid off? None. There were vacancies eliminated, and we've talked about the structure of how those vacancies were eliminated. So all this hyperbole about all these layoffs and how detrimental revenue neutral was to this county, this right here is the result of revenue neutral. We're taking the time to go through the budget and identifying misappropriation, miscalculations, questions that we as commissioners have a right to ask because we've been elected by the people to do so. And when we do so, we get pushback. Or heaven forbid, we don't get the services that in our part of the community that we ask for. The trash has been picked up on K32, but I can tell you all the stuff that's been dumped out there, including the mattress I've talked about for the last 3 months, is still sitting in the street. So we see, some of us see how this gamesmanship is played, and it's unfortunate because the public sees it too. So let's get down to the facts. It's a 1 mil, 2 mil, 5 mils. It doesn't matter. We're coming back with our hands out again, telling the public we're not spending the money properly, or we have so much need. All these bridges are down, all the roads are down. Now the bridges are 60 million, Troy, or 80 million, you said?
Yeah, it depends, but yes.
And we have 18th down. Our community is shut off now, and we've got one of the biggest opportunities to showcase our community in the World Cup. And we're going to be isolated. We're not going to have a chance to experience the growth of revenue that we should have because of the poor planning and the lack of maintenance and the misappropriation and the misguided bonding of paying salaries and funding $75,000 on a 20 or 30-year bonding note that my colleague Chuck Stites mentioned a few minutes ago. Things like that have put us where we are here today. And some of this stuff needs to be stated. And some of us here were part of that. But I don't believe in leaving it for somebody else. And I'm not coming in to clean up somebody's mess when they don't care if they clean it up or not. All they have to do is go back and ask the public for more money. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, I just wanted to some clarification from the 5 million from the American Royal, and you were saying that that's only supposed to go towards grant matches?
That's correct.
So what's the repercussions of just putting it towards infrastructure?
Well, we wouldn't be complying with the language in our development agreement. But a lot of times infrastructure is what there are the most opportunities for grants. So I think conceptually we're looking at this influx of money because it's 5 million and then it's 1.3 million annually after that, that we could help with finding matching funds so that we can contribute that in order to get our bridges reopened and some of these really expensive infrastructure projects.
Okay, because so what would the repercussion be if we decided to say, well, we just decided just put it all towards infrastructure? Just put it even though the language of,
sure,
you know.
I'll let an attorney speak to the implications of that.
Yes, if we don't live up to the agreement, if we're not operating in good faith, there are a number of things that could happen that I don't want to get into details in an open meeting, but it would not be in our best interest to do that, and there would be great repercussions.
Well, what I'm getting at is it seems like we do things like this anyway, and then the state just says, well, that goes back to home rule.
No, this is a contractual agreement. This isn't a state statute that we're under. This is a contractual agreement between the unified government and a third party. So it would be a civil matter.
Okay.
Then it would be a breach of contract.
Right. Can we? Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
I guess the question I have, just to piggyback off of before I go, Commissioner Bynum.
Mayor, thanks. I did not mean to jump in front of you. I just wanted to express support for the 1.5 mill rather than the 2 mill that's been brought forward on the city side of the budget? Because I appreciate the shift in paying off the debt for the hotel renovations. That you've basically, in my opinion, put it where it belongs. And a couple of other things that have helped us reduce $500,000 off the administrator's proposal. I just wanted to express support for that. If there's more to find, that's great. But I would support the 1.5 over the 2 rather than the 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. This piggybacks off of Commissioner Stites and Commissioner Burrows' question. I don't know if you can answer it here today, but hopefully you've taken good notes. There's a lot of revenue streams that we have here at the unified government. He didn't even mention the dedicated sales taxes and things of that nature, and I believe some of our sales taxes have increased. The biggest question that always comes back to me is, with all these revenue streams, and we probably have more revenue streams than most municipalities across the great state of Kansas, we always come up short, and every year we need more money. And the only answer is we got to raise property taxes. And it seems like it's never ending. There's no answer of how you put a pressure point on that to mitigate that on behalf of our residents that are struggling. We've got a very low per capita income. We have one of the highest poverty rates in the metro that hovers around anywhere from year to year, 17 to 19%. We're asking our residents to really share a lot, but the biggest question is, with all these revenue streams, have we really done a deep dive to really be able to answer the question that Commissioner Burrows and Commissioner Stites and even myself have asked for? Where's all the money going? To where we don't have enough money, even with dedicated sales taxes that the voters pass, even all the revenue streams. There's a few more that outside of what Commissioner Burrows identified. But every year it seems like we just don't have enough money. But if you look at some news reports out there, they talk about how our budgeting far exceeds the inflation rate. Especially if you go back from consolidation. I mean, there's reports out there of since consolidation, property taxes have increased well over 250%. Now, the question is people come to me and say, we don't mind paying our taxes if we can afford it. But then you look at failed infrastructure. We heard about streets, potholes, and I know folks like to talk about revenue neutral, but these were issues and problems before revenue neutral was even approved. I'm just being honest with you. I came into this and it was the same song and dance. We need more information. More money because our bridges are out, our infrastructure is bad, our employees need pay raises. We can't attract and retain people for whatever reason. I don't really know if staff has really done a good job of a deep dive, and that's why I'm a huge proponent of a forensic audit and a performance audit of all areas of not just the unified government, but BPU as well, to try and get a handle on this and to the bottom of it. Because I can tell you, the 22 audit, it was just a soft audit. It wasn't even an in-depth audit, and it turned up some really disturbing things as far as about this unified government. And so it just seems like we have a lot of revenue streams, but the ask from this unified government, it seems like it just continues to grow more than what we're being able to bring in from our revenue stream sources. And I just can't get a handle of that, how the expenditures every year far outpace the revenues. It doesn't even seem like there's a close balance. For example, this year, we're not only talking about taking the full appraised value and translating that to a tax increase, but then we want to add meals on top of that. And I can tell you, it hurts me because we had a room full of folks, it's like we do every year, that says somehow we got to figure something out. And I know it's a balance, to provide the services that our residents want. And that's why I keep saying that we need to identify what the true essential services of this unified government are. We need to come up with strategic planning to be able to handle some of the needs out in the community. I just want to applaud Mr. Miles and Mr. Smith. They did an awesome job of going to K-32. But it's things like that that may be thinking outside the box that need to occur to be able to handle some of the issues that we have and the challenges that we have around our county, and what staff has shown that it can be done. It's just you have to have the will to be able to do it, just like it's been shown that it can be done. It can be done responsibly and effectively. So I think all these revenue streams that Commissioner Burrows, and he tells me he has even more, and I have some. It would be nice to know if we could have something that showed, okay, this money goes here, goes to this, for this purpose, and then something that shows how expenditures keep outpacing our revenues every year. Because I can tell you now, year after year, compounding property tax increases is not sustainable anywhere in this country. Anywhere, not just here, anywhere. And I know I keep saying that the fix to it is we got to expand economic development, bring in housing, anchor people in our community. But it makes it even harder for people want to not just move here, but for people to want to stay here when they're dealing with these types of challenges that impact a lot of you, staff members as well. I've talked to some staff members, and in confidence, they told me these taxes are hurting their pocketbooks just as bad as it is the folks that sat here the other night and said that they need some relief. So I don't know if you all have an answer to that on these revenue streams and how many more may be out there, but really be good. I think this commission has been asking for a while is to really just dig down on, they really want to know where the money's going, because they do have to answer to their constituents as to where the money is actually going. Now I know, and I have to applaud you all. You all have done an awesome job this year of trying to get us some information. I'm not even saying that's something that needs to be done right now or even in this budget cycle, but something maybe looking forward for future commissions and mayors so they can better inform the community. We all can, on just how we're spending our tax dollars and how that reflects. Because a lot of folks are saying they're just not seeing the return on that tax investment, and it's really costing them dearly. Commissioner Stites.
Stites, District 7, just one last question. So our last, I think it was the last budget meeting that we had, we were supplied a list of properties that including the amphitheater. And when are we going to have a discussion about them and not just have supplied a list to look at so that we can make some decisions about that? I don't want to look at a piece of paper. I want to have a discussion about it, but I've been asking for about a year now.
That discussion could happen either here today if you got it. But again, I know the administrator and staff are going to meet with each commissioner one-on-one to walk you through not just that on the facilities, but then also items that in the cash projected schedule, the debt projected schedule, and the capital equipment. Look at that, and if you all have recommendations on things you need to be line item, just like you said, Commissioner Stites, you didn't like you and Commissioner LaPosen didn't really like the water tower, repurposing with the signage. I mean, things like that are just, they're going to meet with you all one-on-one and try and get you all the budget, hopefully from the consensus of information that they take back, that hopefully you all can agree on. Hopefully with the information you give them, they can find further cuts that could maybe even take this 1.5 down closer to the not exceeding the appraisal increase. So,
which would be the 2.3, the natural increase, right? So I mean, I'm guessing, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody else say that they're interested in, or maybe they are and they just haven't said, I don't know. Maybe they'll say it in their one-on-ones, but about looking at a number. I said 10%. I initially said 50% of the discretionary funds, but 10%. Would you tell me, Reggie, if you can, at 10% on the county side only, of the $41 million, what would that be? What would 10% of that be? Yeah.
So there's not $41 million on the county side, so there's like
No, I know.
there's a,
That's combined, right?
yeah, so on the county side, there's a $3 million number, and then also a $2.5 million number. So it's like about $5.5 million looks like this. Of that $40 million, most of that is from the city general fund. So it's like on the county side, it's about $5.5 million.
Of the 41 million of the discretionary funding, right?
Yes.
So if we said 10% on the county side, we're only talking about
500,000.
I mean, which is still, I say only, right? That's still a significant amount if that was divided up. So, and I'm just trying to look at ways that we could potentially, these revenue streams that we have that impact the county side, that where we could get to being able to help fund the infrastructure needs that are out there. Troy, could you tell me this? I think it was Commissioner Hill asked about the funds that, for alleys and that couldn't be used. Could sci-fi be used for that, those alleys?
Probably so. If it's out of the 110 fund, I don't see why it couldn't.
Yeah, yeah, I would say it probably could be if it's an infrastructure fund. So, so there's another use for it. So Mayor, are you saying that we're gonna have discussions about these properties, our assets in one-on-one conversations? Because I would prefer, this is just me, that it happen in an open discussion with all of us so we can bounce ideas back and forth and we can hear what others are talking about or thinking. And because I think that it probably falls on deaf ears if it's not what you want to hear. Thank you.
I would, I'd be, Administrator, if we could, in the interest of time, if we can circle back, we do need to go through the capital equipment, the debt project schedule, as well as the cash project schedule. And then if there's any more slides that staff wants to present and any further questions that you all picked up from commissioners tonight, we probably need another special meeting to go through that prior to you having your one-on-ones.
That's on Tuesday.
Okay. I'll let you plan that. So the administrator is going to work with our clerk to get your meeting, Commissioner Stites. And so it'll be probably Tuesday of next week. So if everybody we can get a quorum. Also at that meeting, if our CFO can talk about more in depth, the 50% and the 10%, what that looks like, how that would factor into the 2026 budget. And I believe this commission passed 50% was supposed to go to retiring the debt as well as the 10%. You can break that down because really that debt reduction is really key as well. So thank you, Commissioner Stites. Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. Bynum at large one. Just for my clarity, I see a special budget workshop next Tuesday at 5. I don't see anything else scheduled. I'm trying to get clarity for my own schedule. So that means budget adoption would take place on September 28th, which gives you 24 hours to load the budget. So the only thing I see is September 9th, and that's correct, right?
Oh, right now.
Commissioner, at this time, Monica Sparks, UG Clerk, the only meeting we have scheduled is September 9th. And based on what we're hearing today, that will be another budget workshop. We will then have to schedule additional meetings, whether there'll be additional budget workshops or for adoption of the budget.
So we may schedule a special meeting for budget adoption prior to September 25th.
Correct.
Which is our next regular meeting.
Correct.
Okay. And just a comment, I cannot find in my big stack of papers that I brought the documents you are referencing, Commissioner Stites, where last budget workshop, we walked through what was called discretionary funding. Because we looked at it that night, you and I looked at it together briefly. I just can't find it in what I brought down here, so I must have it upstairs. But it did total tens of millions of dollars. And I remember thinking to myself, not all of those funds are discretionary. I mean, some of those things need to be funded. And I can't speak directly to it since I didn't bring it with me, but it looks like she might be looking for it. I just would be curious, I'm not opposed to what you suggest. As far as within those categories, could we look at 10%? I think that's a valid thing to do, but
Number 11, budget workshop.
11. Yep, I stop at 10, so I must have left 11 upstairs.
It starts on slide 6,
Thank
Monica.
you, that's it. Discretionary programs. Like, just some of that just does not seem discretionary to me. Lot mowing for land bank, et cetera. It just strikes me as certain things that just don't, the whole planning and urban design, rezoning and planning services. I mean, we've been asking for that for years. I remember at the time, I hate to say this out loud because we so desperately need to redo our specifically fire, but also that West Patrol. But I remember looking at those $2 million costs on a slide just prior to the one you're showing for the design. Those are kind of easy targets, if you will. I mean, it pains me to talk about delaying, but they're easy targets. Anyway, I personally remember last week, and I'll look at it again, looking at some of those and thinking they are not discretionary, in my opinion. But I would be willing, as Commissioner says, to, maybe look at what does 10% look like. So on that slide, we've got 20 million. That way you're not just removing $1 million for design of a fire station. You take 10% off of that, they've still got something to work with. So yes, Dr. Knieven.
Shelley Knieven, CFO. So for those projects that you see debt, that's the total amount of debt that we would be issuing. That is not necessarily the annual budget.
Okay.
So just to be clear, it's a little bit, you can't say, oh, we'd save $1 million if we delayed that a year.
Right. Okay. And I see that beside both of
And it
those.
says debt.
So those
Those are the only
kinda
ones that they're just
need to
telling
go to
me-
the side anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, and we could delay issuing the debt, but it's not going to gain you any money savings next year. It would be actually in 27, and it would only be 1/20th or 1/30th that you would save because you would be issuing $1 million in debt. The annual payment is not $1 million.
And I do remember at the meeting where we talked about this, the very first line for street preservation, I do remember stating at that meeting that I certainly hope we can keep street preservation because as we've already stated and we already know, we're already not funding street preservation at the level it needs to be. So anyway, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I would just also, we can remember as well that the homework for the commission at this last meeting that represents these slides was to do exactly what Commissioner Bynum is advocating for and Commissioner Stites. That's where the one-on-ones with staff and the administrator were going to come in for you all to be able to talk about how to reduce that spending down even further based on the recommendations on what you all decided would be priorities or options. So that's what that was about. But and that's still there. So when you do have your one-on-ones, just keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that 44% of the Kansas City, Kansas budget goes towards debt and interest. And so adding more debt, that's really something you need to think about and make an informed decision about and be mindful of when you talk about 44% of the KCK budget just goes to retiring debt and the interest paid on that. So Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, I was, to kind of piggyback off your comment earlier, Mayor, was, about how we, asked for more taxes, but my question is, how many department heads have money left over from the previous budget, but yet still want a full budget? And then also for our legal, just to kind of come back on that 5 million from the American Royal, is there a way we can just amend that and reword it and then say, here, Troy, here's 5 million now, go fix our roads?
Amendments require both parties to agree.
Okay, so is that something we can look into?
I mean, we can check on that and see if they're interested. I'm not sure if there was a state component with that as well, if they're going to have to sign off on it, but we can check.
There's not a state component. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Commissioner. Also, I believe when I became mayor, the budget was about $420 million. That was the first budget I had. And now we're projecting a $509 million budget. That's almost $90 million increase just in the short time that I've been mayor. And then you look at the CARES Act and the ARPA funds that were due to COVID. That's $100 million approximately invested in this community. And so you're talking over a 5-year period, almost $190 million worth of investment. And so, so when we talk about the questions that Commissioner Stites, Burrows, and Lopez, and even myself are kind of raising on behalf of our residents, I think those are good questions that to be asked. Where exactly is all this money going? How's it being spent? And our residents are saying they'd like to see the return on their tax investment. So, Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. As I said last week, and I hate to be repetitious, but I'm going to, as a former county clerk in the early 80s, our county clerk needs a budget very soon for her to do her work and get it done correctly. So I would ask Monica, what is a drop date that you need, that you and your staff can competently do the levies and have our budget to you? You know, it seems odd that when we started this budget process way earlier this year, the big box stores were taking down Christmas decorations. Here we are with no budget, and now the big box stores are putting up Christmas decorations. So my point is, nothing's getting done. We need to give her a budget. And we've had enough information over these months, and it's good. I'm all for transparency. But I think out of respect to the county clerk, we need to give her an opportunity to tell us, the last day that I can competently do what I have to do is this day. Monica, can you do that?
Yes, Commissioner, the absolute last day is October 1. All per the state statute, all taxing entities have to submit their budget to the county clerk certified by October 1.
And Reginald Lindsay, Unified Government Budget Director, I like to add that between finance and budget, we have to get information to Monica by October 1st, and there are like 32 state forms that we have to get certified to get to Monica by October 1st also.
That was my point.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stikes?
I pushed my button, I'm sorry. That answered my question.
Okay. Administrator, any further comment? All right. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, staff. I know the clerk's is going to work with our administrator to get another workshop as they've been directed to do. So we'll be looking forward to that. There's no further business for this special meeting, and we do have to proceed into our full commission meeting tonight. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion, second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Burns,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum. I lost Commissioner Bynum. Burrows.
Aye.
The vote is 6-0. The motion carries.
Thank you. We will reconvene here shortly for our full commission meeting tonight. Thank you.
We're just here.
Recognized. Oh, no, they're getting a doctorate. Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. I think when you said he was going to get through. I'm gonna get rid of them. I said, pick it up the guy at 66 and he's got
Say hi to you early. That was a good period today.
You'll be this guy. Are you the sniper that? Yeah. I'll say it. No much. Hello, bye-bye. How are you? Yeah. What's going on, my friend? How are you? Good to see you. Oh, Chad, good to see you. Very good. Thank you. All right, man.
I'm just getting myself ready.
Good evening, everyone. Today's September 4th, 2025, and welcome to your regular session of your Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas Full Board of Commissioners meeting. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that some commissioners, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom, by phone, or they're on site. All participants joining by phone should please mute your phone at this time to avoid any background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title or city of residence every time you speak, so the public that is observing knows exactly who is speaking. When you speak, please make sure you speak at an audible level so your comments can be captured for record by our clerk. This is critical given the number of remote participants and is current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General's office. We are in full commission meeting, and we do have expectations for decorum, disruptive comments and behavior that would be considered disorderly are not permitted and may result in removal from these chambers. I'll now call this meeting to order.
They about to call me.
Clerk's roll call.
Roll call. Townsend,
Here.
Burns,
Here.
Ramirez, we have an absence memo. Hill,
Here.
Kane, Lopez,
Here.
Stites, Davis,
Here.
Bynum,
Here.
Burrows, Garner.
Here, thank you. I'll now ask that Chaplain Daniel Freeman, if he would come forward. He's here. He is the fire chaplain for the Unified Government, and he is also the pastor of New Beginnings Missionary Baptist Church. If everyone could please stand at this time for the invocation, and immediately following will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious God, our Father, we bless your holy and your righteous name. Thank you for this opportunity to share one with another, Lord. We pray right now that you would be recognized as being the sovereign God. You have all power in your hands, Lord. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for our mayor, our commissioners, and all the staff that are here. Lord, we pray now as we get ready to convene in this meeting, Lord, that it would be done decent and in order, and that we would keep you in the forefront. Lord, we pray your blessings upon our law enforcement officers, our first responders, our healthcare workers, and our community. Bless now, Lord, like only you can, for this is our prayer in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, are there any revisions to tonight's agenda?
There are no revisions.
Okay. That takes us to the mayor's agenda. The first item is a proclamation for Hispanic Heritage Month. Clerk, can you read that in its entirety?
Proclamation. Whereas federal recognition of Hispanic heritage began in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week and was expanded in 1988 to cover 30 days, officially enacted into law on August 17, 1988. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated each year from September 15th to October 15th, honoring the histories, cultures, and contributions of Americans whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas September 15th holds special significance as it marks the independence anniversaries of 5 Latin American countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, followed by Mexico on September 16th, Chile on September 18th, and Belize on September 21st. And whereas this year's Hispanic Heritage Month theme is Collective Heritage, honoring the past, inspiring the future. And whereas Hispanics and Latinos have enriched every facet of our society, serving in our armed forces and contributing significantly to education, science, business, the arts, government, and civil rights. And whereas the Hispanic community continues to shape the fabric of our nation through strong family values, vibrant cultural traditions, entrepreneurial spirit, and a steadfast commitment to hard work and service. And whereas in Wyandotte County, 34.4% of residents identify as Hispanic or Latino, equating to over 57,000 people, with a growing and youthful population, 58.7% of students in the largest district, Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools, identify as Hispanic. And whereas the entrepreneurial entrepreneurial energy of Hispanic residents has transformed Central Avenue into a thriving corridor of shops and restaurants, revitalizing the local economy and proudly showcasing authentic Latin food and culture, earning Kansas City, Kansas the recognition as America's taco capital. And whereas the cultural life of our city is deeply enriched by murals, music, language, fiestas, and all forms of Latino artistic expression, enhancing both our community identity and legacy. And whereas we celebrate the generations of Hispanic Americans who have inspired us, broken barriers, and contributed to our shared progress, and we reaffirm our commitment to equity, opportunity, and inclusion for all. Now therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas.
Thank you, Clerk. Thank you so much. It goes without being said that the Latino community right here in Kansas City, Kansas is the largest minority. We have one of the largest Latino populations anywhere you would find in the metro. And that's something that we should all be proud of. The contributions, the commitment, the value that the Latino community has really brought to Kansas City, Kansas has not just been profound, but it's something that has really helped make Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas a great and safe place to live, to work, and raise a family. And so we're really proud of our Latino community and the contributions they've made, not just here recently, but throughout their time. I know we mentioned Central Avenue, but let's not forget about Argentine, where a lot of folks have their footprint and their roots, as well as Armourdale. But not just in those three areas. The Latino community is growing, and we're proud to have them growing. And if you look at the census tracts and you look at our schools, and we're glad to have Randy Lopez here. He's the board chair of the USD 500 school district, the largest school district here in Wyandotte County. If you look at projections from some of the experts, they tell us that the Latino population right here in Wyandotte County, if it stays on track, will be the dominant majority here at some point, not just in Kansas City, Kansas, but throughout Wyandotte County. And that's something that we should all be proud of, that we should celebrate, especially when you talk about Hispanic Heritage Month. And so I'm honored to allow my Chief of Staff, Irene Cadillo, to make some presentations of Dot Proud to recognize some of the unsung heroes and movers and shakers of Hispanic heritage right here in Kansas City, Kansas, in Wyandotte County. Irene?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator, and our community. Irene Caudillo, Chief of Staff to Mayor Garner. As we've heard in the proclamation, Hispanic Heritage Month is a time to honor the rich histories, vibrant cultures, and powerful contributions of Hispanics and Latino communities, especially those right here in Wyandotte County. This year, we're proud to highlight 21 outstanding individuals, businesses, and organizations whose work, service, and leadership reflect the very best of what it means to be Dot Proud. Rather than recognizing them all at once, though, so I know you guys were looking, but tonight we've actually chosen to celebrate and honor those throughout Hispanic Heritage Month, giving each of their stories the time and attention they deserve, sharing the unique ways that they've made a difference. But I just want to personally say, for me, this celebration is more than ceremonial. It's deeply personal. I am incredibly proud to call many of these honorees friends, colleagues, and partners in progress. Their work has touched lives, strengthened our community, and inspired those around them, including this Latina. So let us begin with 7. Again, I'll say it again. We're doing 7 tonight, 7 at the end of the month, and then 7 in October. So let us begin with Mario Escobar. Originally from Topeka, Kansas, he moved to Kansas City, Kansas in 1977 with his wife, Loretta, and their 2 children, Javier and Leticia. Just a year later, they made the Argentine neighborhood their permanent home, where they still reside today. For decades, Mario has been a tireless advocate for both the Argentine and Hispanic communities. And he served on boards like El Centro, the Argentine Neighborhood Development Association, ANDA, and as well as the Argentine Betterment Corporation, ABC, where he actually continues to serve as a board advisor. He also served as executive director for ABC for 4 years. His commitment to civic engagement includes appointments to the Unified Government's Planning and Zoning Commission and his current role as chairman of the Parks and Recreation Board of Directors. But beyond his civic service, Mario is a lifetime member or a lifelong member of the Knights of Columbus Council 709, where he served 2 terms as Grand Knight. He is also a proud athlete and coach in men's fast pitch softball. His contributions to the sport has earned him an induction into the Mexican American Fast Pitch Softball Hall of Fame in Kansas City, Newton, and most recently, Emporia. For his decades of service, leadership, and dedication to our community, please join me in honoring Mario Escobar as a Dot Proud honoree. Sure. Yeah. Edgar Galicia was born in the vibrant cultural environment of Mexico City, earning an associate's degree in graphic design before moving to Kansas City in 1985 to continue his education at Donley College. He later expanded his studies in marketing, communications, and business administration, becoming a certified life and business coach in 2008. Edgar's early career in graphic design and international business at Universal Engraving helped launch the company into global markets. His passion for innovation and entrepreneurship led him to build partnerships across North America and transition into hard money lending as a business underwriter. Today, Edgar applies his diverse experience in service to the community as the director of the Central Area Betterment Association, or better known as CABA, leading impactful projects like La Placita, a Central Avenue market, Diversity Day of the Dead. This enables him to stay involved and apply all of his life experiences. These events and projects not only strengthen the bonds within the Hispanic community, but also serve as a welcoming bridge, inviting the broader community to come together, share in the rich traditions, and build deeper understanding and connection across cultures. For his entrepreneurial spirit and deep civic engagement, guided by the belief that betterment isn't about relocating to a better place, it's about building a better place where you are. Please join me in honoring Edgar Galicia as a Dot Proud honoree.
I'm going to say some words. I was asked to be mindful of my 15 minutes, so I will. I do want to thank the whole city, everybody who has partnered, motivated, educated, pushed forward everything and anything that I have done since '85, where I came here to learn English. I have walked these streets and became enamored with the possibilities that this community presents and how strong it is, how tenacious it has been, and how we all look forward to a stronger and better future. So, to shorten my 15 minutes, I will say, I'll see you all on Central.
The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Greater Kansas City was founded in 1977 by 25 Hispanic business leaders led by Hector Barreto Sr. to represent the interests of Hispanic business community in both public and private sectors. In 1979, it became the founding chamber of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. The Hispanic Chamber promotes the economic growth and development of its members, of its member businesses and the Hispanic community, while fostering strong relationships between Hispanic business and the Greater Kansas City metropolitan area. Serving businesses of all sizes across 8 counties in Kansas and Missouri, the Chamber has grown under the leadership of the current president and CEO, Carlos Gomez, who serves since 2007, and it is one of the largest and most influential business organizations in the region. For its enduring commitment to supporting entrepreneurs and strengthening the community, please join me in honoring the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Greater Kansas City, represented by Carlos Gomez as a DOT Proud honoree. A native of Kansas City, Kansas, and a son of Mexican immigrants, Randy Lopez holds deep roots in our community. He graduated from Sumner Academy of Arts and Science, earned a bachelor's degree from Rockhurst University, and was selected into the National Urban Fellows Program, where he received a Master's of Public Administration from Baruch College in New York City, including time as a fellow with the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation. In 2019, Randy made history as the first Latino elected to the Kansas City, Kansas Public School Board of Education. He is now serving his second term and currently holds the position of board president. As president and CEO of the Wyandotte Health Foundation, Randy leads with vision and compassion. He guides the foundation's grant-making in critical areas like primary care and childhood trauma prevention, working tirelessly to advance health and equity for all Wyandotte County residents. Randy's leadership extends across multiple organizations. He serves on boards like the Hispanic Development Fund, LISC KC, and Parade of Hearts. His honors reflect his dedication and impact. In 2018, he received the NFL Kansas City Chiefs Hispanic Heritage Leadership Award, and in 2019, he was presented with the Champion of Character certificate by the Kansas Hispanic and Latino American Affairs Commission. Through his leadership in education, healthcare, and equity-focused philanthropy, Randy continues to lift up our community and demonstrates that real change is possible when rooted in service, representation, and heart. Please join me in honoring Randy Lopez as a DOT Proud honoree.
I've learned that as an elected official, time limits don't pertain to you. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of the commission, for tonight. Thank you, Irene Caudillo, for sharing this. First and foremost, and I'll be brief, I want to just continue to lift up prayers and thank yous to all of our law enforcement officers who continue to give every single day for our community. So, and especially our law enforcement officers who have passed, we continue to pray for them and lift up all of our first responders, law enforcement officials, and everyone who continues to work hard for Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas. I want to just briefly say gracias a mi familia, a mis papás, mi mamá que está con nosotros, mi papá que siempre está en mi corazón, que por ellos estamos aquí, yo y mis hermanos y toda mi familia. Thank you to my parents, my mom who's here tonight, my dad who's in my heart and our hearts all the time, to my siblings, all my family, to my wife, Naomi, who's here. Thank you for all that you continue to do to support the work that we do in this community to be a better Wyandotte County for everyone. Thank you to all of my mentors, Rick Behrens, Dee Dee, Irene, Ramon, so many who are out there doing some great work for Wyandotte County. And lastly, I just want to say thank you again, Mayor. Thank you, Commission. As we continue to work hard for our community, as we continue to work to improve lives in health, education, workforce, housing, please note that you have a partner with me at the school district, at the Health Foundation. And together, we've got to work together and make sure that we're doing the best that we can for Wyandotte County. I accept tonight's recognition and honor on behalf of all of our immigrant brothers and sisters in this community, that we may continue to build a safe and welcoming Wyandotte County for all, so that we can work forward as a stronger community, unidos, juntos, and a thriving Wyandotte County. That's my dream. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of the commission.
Now it's a privilege to recognize a Latina, a true force for community change, and someone who leads with both heart and purpose. Originally from Mexico, Monica Mendez has brought her passion for service and community development to Wyandotte County, where she's made a lasting impact. Since 2019, she has served as the executive director of the Armadale Renewal Association, leading efforts to revitalize neighborhoods and uplift residents with deep commitment and care. Monica holds a degree in tourism and hospitality and is a proud graduate of several leadership programs, including the Executive Directors Institute, the Healthy Lifestyle Leaders Academy through the Health Forward Foundation, and most recently completed the Executive Directors Institute of Professional Development. With over a decade of work in public health and community advocacy, including 12 years with the Latino Health for All Coalition, Monica has championed equity-focused efforts that have shaped lives and empowered families across Wyandotte County. Her dedication has also not gone unnoticed. In 2023, she was honored with the Woman of Wyandotte Award. And in 2025, she received the Viva la Chicana Award, both recognizing her outstanding contributions to community wellness and cultural advocacy. Beyond her professional work, Monica is engaged and a dedicated community member, serving or has served on numerous boards, including Executive Board of Livable Neighborhoods, Kansas City, Kansas Community Gardens, Bethel Neighborhood Center, and Rosedale Development. She's been a voice for progress through her work with the Infrastructure Action Committee of Healthy Communities Wyandotte and the Steering Committee of Arts KC. Monica is also a loving wife and devoted mother of four, balancing all she does with the incredible grace and strength. For her leadership, service, and spirit, she is a shining example of what it means to be DOT proud. Join me in honoring Monica Mendez as a DOT proud honoree.
Okay, why not? Not following them, but I just want to thank everyone that is here tonight and thank you again for keeping an eye on us. So we'll continue doing good job, good work for all of you guys.
Ramon Murguia is a proud son of Kansas City, Kansas. For over 40 years, he's used his talents in both law and business to serve small businesses and empower others through his boutique law practice, Murguia Law Office. He earned his Bachelor's of Science in Accounting and Business Administration from the University of Kansas and went on to earn his JD from Harvard Law School. But Ramon's influence extends far beyond his law degree. He has served on some of the most respected civic and philanthropic boards in our region and the nation, including more than 20 years on the board of the Country Club Bank, 18 years as the trustee of the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, which I might add is among the largest foundations in the United States with over $9 billion in endowment assets. And he currently serves as the director of the W.K. Kellogg Company, the national American cereal company based in Battle Creek, Michigan. Now, Ramon combines Midwest sensibility, a strong sense of ethic, and a clear understanding of legal framework and finances applicable to boards for-profit and not-for-profit, and also some close to home, because he has helped shape institutions like Union Station, the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art, Kansas University Endowment, and the Wyandotte Health Foundation, where he is a current chair. Ramon is a national leader, especially in philanthropy for the Latino community. He was instrumental in the establishment and growth of one of the first endowed charitable foundations controlled by Latinos in the United States. And it was done right here in Kansas City. It's the Greater Kansas City Hispanic Development Fund. As chair of the board, and in its 42-year history, Hispanic Development Fund has awarded over $3 million in grants to local nonprofit organizations and approximately $11 million in scholarships to 6,000 college-bound students right here from the metro area. Murguia's leadership skills are focused on institutional success with integrity and infused with proximity to at-risk communities. Despite his national accomplishments and his influence, what makes Ramon so special is that he's never forgotten where he has come from. He continues to live in the Argentine neighborhood where he grew up, alongside his wife, Sally, and their 2 children, Miguel and Amalia. For his conscientious and collaborative leadership of community-wide efforts, and for his committed sense of service, please join me in recognizing Ramon Murguia as a proud honoree.
As a lawyer, I know time is money, so I will keep my remarks brief. But just want to thank the Unified Government, Mayor Garner, honorable commissioners for your interest in the Latino community and recognizing the support this community has provided to this overall Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. I want to acknowledge my wife in the room who has been my partner in every accomplishment I've been able to succeed in. It's been because of Sally and my children. My children are proud graduates of Sumner Academy. I'm a proud graduate of J.C. Harmon High School. We love this community. We know that it fights for the most needy in this community, and we know that it takes all of us to make a difference. And I know that I'm putting my little 2 cents in to help accomplish some progress for this community. I know that all of you work diligently to also accomplish more for this community, make Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, one of the best communities in this country. So I appreciate all the work you do. I will just make note that there's a lot of families east of 635 that depend on this public support for your attention to the roads and parks. And we appreciate all you do to make sure that we don't get left out from all the fancy things going on east or west of 635. But appreciate all the work you do, and thank you for this recognition.
All right. Last but not least, originally from Mexico, Raul Villegas came to the United States at age 11 and has proudly called Wyandotte County home for the past 25 years. His journey has been defined by perseverance, passion, and purpose. In 2007, he opened his first soccer rental store in the old Indian Springs Mall. Since then, he's grown into a respected business owner and community mentor. Today, he operates El Padrino Party Supply at 9th and Minnesota Avenue, known for everything from life-size piñatas to international soccer gear. He also founded and runs Soccer Nation, a 40,000 square foot indoor soccer complex at 55th and Kansas Avenue, the largest of its kind in Kansas City, Kansas. But for Raul, soccer is more than just a game. It's a mission. Through Soccer Nation Academy, he provides affordable leagues, camps, and tournaments for youth, especially low-income and first-generation Hispanic families. His vision is clear. Every child should have the opportunity to play, grow, and dream big, regardless of their background or income. And that dream did become a reality on the national stage in 2019 when one of his U13 teams proudly advanced to the national championship in Dallas, Texas. Raul's leadership and impact has been widely recognized. He's a recipient of the Small Business Award from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and a graduate of the Kauffman Foundation Scale Up program, which supports high-growth entrepreneurs. More than a business owner, Raul is a mentor, a builder of dreams, and a champion for youth in our community. He continues to invest in the future of Kansas City, Kansas, one child, one team, and one goal at a time. For his extraordinary dedication to empowering youth and enriching the heart of Wyandotte County, please join me in recognizing Raul Villegas as the DOT Proud Honoree. Mayor, real quick, can we get a picture with all the honorees with you real quick? Apologize, one more last picture. Go ahead and hold your, yeah, hold it. Hold it.
Commissioner Bynum. Burrow. And Mr.
Find out who he is too.
I'd like to also recognize, we had District Court Judge Tony Martinez is here with us too. Judge, wave at us. We're glad to have you here, Judge. Thank you so much. And his wife. Thank you all. All right, thank you. And again, we appreciate the contributions of the Latino community here in Kansas City, Kansas, and throughout Wyandotte County. They really have made, again, a profound positive impact on helping shape Wyandotte County and making this a great and safe place to live, again, and raise families. And I know I mentioned Central Avenue, Argentine, and Armourdale, but really, if you go to the northeast, the census tract shows that the northeast part of Kansas City, Kansas, is predominantly majority Latino as well. So that population continues to grow, and we're proud to have the Latino community and what they bring and represent right here in Kansas City, Kansas, especially as we recognize Hispanic Heritage Month. That takes us to our next item, which is, we got 3 proclamations. Clerk, I'm going to ask you to read the first one involving Officer Hunter Simoncic first.
Proclamation.
And then you can read the other ones in abbreviated format.
Proclamation. Whereas Police Officer Hunter Simoncic faithfully served the residents of Kansas City, Kansas with honor and a steadfast commitment to public safety. And whereas from a young age, Officer Simoncic aspired to become a police officer, a lifelong dream he fulfilled with pride, purpose, and unwavering dedication to protecting others. And whereas on August 26, 2025, Officer Samancic made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty while protecting and serving the community he loved. And whereas Officer Samancic exemplified the highest ideals of law enforcement: duty, honor, courage, service, and selfless sacrifice. And whereas beyond his duties in uniform, Officer Samancic was a beloved figure in the community, known for his compassion and generosity of spirit demonstrated with his volunteerism. And whereas once a week at Banneker Elementary School, he read with second grade students, offering inspiration, mentorship, and investing his time and talent outside the badge. And whereas Officer Samancic's life was a treasure to his family, an inspiration to his colleagues, and a notable value to the lives he touched with courage and compassion. And whereas it is both fitting and necessary to honor the service, sacrifice, and enduring example of heroism Officer Samancic exemplified with his commitment to duty. Now therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim August 28th, 2025 as Kansas City, Kansas Police Officer Hunter Samancic Memorial Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. Let it be further resolved that this day be forever memorialized in the records and hearts of Wyandotte County, and that we encourage all residents to reflect on the contributions of Officer Samancic and all public safety professional officers who serve and protect our communities.
Thank you, Clerk. I just want to, on behalf of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, just again, thank the local community and people near and far that sent letters of support, phone calls, emails, and that showed up to honor the life and the legacy of Officer Samancic and what he meant and represented to so many right here in Kansas City, Kansas. And just a constant reminder to keep the men and women of the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department who are still navigating through this loss, but more importantly, the family of Hunter Samancic, who is dealing with this and struggling. And so let's continue to keep them in our thoughts and our prayers and any support that we can give this family that they're willing to accept. Let's make sure that we continue to support them because they have a long road ahead, as I've mentioned before, navigating through their bereavement. And when you lose someone to senseless, unnecessary violence, that pain, unfortunately, is something that will last, and they will carry that weight for a lifetime. And so they're going to need the love and support, the continued love and support of this community. And let's continue to support the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department and our Sheriff's Department and the family of Deputy Ming. This is a huge tragedy for Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas. I've said it before, the unnecessary violence has to stop. It's not okay. And if you see a police officer, just know that we need to respect them, value them, encourage them, uplift them, and thank them for their service. Because a lot of folks don't want to be police officers and do what they do. A lot of folks can't be police officers and do what they do. And some folks aren't even allowed to be police officers or sheriff deputies and do what they do. But when you talk about our society and public safety, the good police officers that we know exist in our communities doing great things every single day, being exposed to things that most people wouldn't be exposed to in 10 lifetimes. And they show up every day, they sacrifice. I can't tell you all the events they miss, spending time with their children and their families, marriages, birthdays, church events, picnics, because they have to work. And they show up. and their dedication and commitment to duty should always be respected and honored and valued. And if you see a police officer, let them know that you appreciate their service to our community. Because when you talk about the power of our society and our great democracy, they are truly that thin blue line between calm and chaos. So let's just remember that and keep them in our prayers. Clerk, thank you.
Proclamation. Whereas during this month and year, we gather in recognition of a century of history, honor, and community as we mark the 100th anniversary of the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial, now known to many as Memorial Hall, 600 North 7th Street, Kansas City, Kansas, a treasured landmark in the heart of Kansas City, Kansas. And whereas designed by David Burton Peterson of Rose and Peterson Architects, the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial was originally dedicated in 1925 to honor the brave men and women of Wyandotte County who served in the armed forces, particularly those who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation during World War I. And whereas over the past century, our beloved Memorial Hall has stood not only as a solemn tribute to our veterans, but also as a testament to the enduring values of courage, service, and civic responsibility, and was designated as a Kansas State Historic Landmark on August 2, 1983. And whereas through generations, the 3-story, 3,500-seat multipurpose building has evolved into a vibrant civic space, serving as a hub for iconic music concerts, many graduations, community gatherings, cultural events, educational programs, and sporting events, reinforcing its role as a living monument dedicated to unity, remembrance, and public service. And whereas the preservation and continued use of the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial, also known as Memorial Hall, reflects the deep respect our city holds for its history and the commitment to ensuring that the stories of those who served and the ideals they defended remain present and are honored in the life of our community. Now, therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim September 11 and 12, 2025 as Memorial Hall Centennial Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and encourage all residents to honor the legacy of our veterans, celebrate the continued role of Memorial Hall as a cornerstone of civic life and pride, and reflect on the shared history that unites us as a community. Proclamation. Whereas the United States has been involved in many wars, and whereas evidence, documentation, and testimony continue to raise legitimate questions regarding the fate of American service personnel missing in action or held as prisoners of war, and whereas the whereabouts and fates of many Americans who were last known alive in enemy hands, including those held in the missing captured status in a global war on terror, have yet to be determined, and information regarding these men has not been made available to the American people for final closure. And whereas a full and accurate accounting still has not been made regarding the service members from Kansas, an accounting of missing service members has been completed for only 69 of 1,103 Kansans missing during World War II, an accounting for only 6 of 104 missing Kansans, with an accounting for none of 12 from Wyandotte County of those missing in Korea, and an accounting for only 18 of 42, with an accounting of 1 of 6 from Wyandotte County of those missing in Vietnam. And whereas the POW MIA flag is flown daily at the City Hall and many other city and local buildings across Wyandotte County, Kansas, in recognition of our missing service members, now therefore I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim September 19th, 2025 as POW MIA Recognition Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. Our final proclamation. Whereas sickle cell disease is a severe, life-shortening, inherited disease that affects the red blood cells and impacts predominantly people of color. It is especially common in Africans and African Americans, but the disease can also be found in other demographics. And whereas sickle cell disease is a disease in which a person's body produces abnormally shaped red blood cells that resemble a crescent or sickle, and do not last as long as normal round red blood cells, which leads to anemia. And the sickle cells also get stuck in blood vessels and block blood flow, resulting in vaso-occlusive crises, which can cause pain and organ damage. And whereas sickle cell disease is estimated to affect more than 100,000 people in the United States, but the exact number of people with sickle cell disease is unknown. and continuing efforts are needed to better understand and quantify the scope and impact of sickle cell disease on patients, communities, states, and the nation. And whereas approximately 1 in 12 African Americans are diagnosed with the trait and are carriers for sickle cell disease, and whereas individuals living with sickle cell disease experience severe pain, anemia, organ failure, stroke, and infection, and often shorten lifespans, and whereas individuals living with sickle cell disease encounter barriers to obtaining quality care and improving their quality of life, and these barriers include limitations in geographic access to comprehensive care, the varied use of effective treatments, the discrimination within the healthcare system, and whereas in the more than 100 years since sickle cell disease discovery, the sickle cell patient community has received relatively little attention and few resources. And for decades, these individuals have suffered due to racial discrimination in the healthcare system, in addition to life-threatening disease burden. And whereas it is imperative that there be greater awareness of this serious health condition, and more must be done to increase activity at the local, state, and national levels. Now, therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim September 2025 as Sickle Cell Awareness Month in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas.
I just want to thank Mayor Gardner and the commissioners. It's moments like tonight that Sickle Cell Awareness Month was first created. And without awareness, education, and community support, patients like me living with sickle cell will never have improved care. We will continue to receive inadequate care and limited understanding in the healthcare system. And I really do thank you all for helping raise awareness for the over 600 people living with sickle cell in Kansas and 100,000 people in the US. Thank you.
Sir, could you give us your name for the record, please?
I'm Kevin Wake.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. And thank you for your work. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to the final item on the mayor's agenda. And it's an update to the commission by Jack Bill, Senior Vice President from the University of Kansas Career Center, and Dr. Jeff, excuse me on that pronunciation, I'm not even gonna try it.
I'll save you the trouble. Holzberline.
There you go.
There
Thank you.
Yeah.
Vice President, Physician in Chief from the KU Medical Center. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for the opportunity to present on behalf of the University of Kansas Health System. I actually wanted to start by maybe just talking about referencing several of the proclamations, which are actually, I think, pertinent to the University of Kansas Health System. And I think it's sort of, you know, we tend to maybe forget that we're part of Wyandotte County in Kansas City, Kansas. And hopefully what I'll do tonight is present things that make you proud of the University of Kansas Health System and its presence in Wyandotte County. And I'll start by just talking a little bit briefly about the last presentation, which is very pertinent to what I'm going to present tonight, and that's sickle cell disease. And so, albeit there has been limited attention and it is a really terrible disease, one of the new treatments that will be housed in this new building is a new cellular therapy focused on sickle cell disease. That treatment is called Lyfgenia. and it's currently being administered by our bone marrow transplant team at University of Kansas. And so there really is hope for those patients living with sickle cell disease. We're really excited about that. Second is, we want to give our condolences to the Simonsek family. My nurse in the operating room was good friends with Hunter, and so that hit home to us at University of Kansas Health System. It was a hard week for many of our OR staff who knew him very well. So, and then finally, on a lighter note, before I give my very brief presentation, as the father of 3 girls who played soccer and spent a lot of time in Soccer Nation, hands down best food at any soccer facility that I've ever been to. It's not close in Johnson County. They have terrible food at the soccer stadium. So I'm thankful for Raul's Soccer Nation presence. With that, I'll just briefly present. I'll try to keep this very quick, but we wanted to give an update on one of the latest projects that's happening at the University of Kansas Health System. As I mentioned previously, my name is Jeff Holzberlein. I'm actually a urologic oncologist, so I focus on urology. And I've had the privilege of serving as the physician in chief for the University of Kansas Cancer Center. That means that I sort of help with the operations of the Cancer Center. And we have a lot going on, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of that tonight with the new building that we're building. So I think people know very astutely that cancer is a big problem. It affects all of us. It is not prejudiced on, race or color. It is something that affects all of us. Clearly, there are access issues and systemic problems with our healthcare system, but we feel that many of these new treatments really are agnostic to that. And so, we feel that it's really critical to be able to offer all of these new treatments to everyone that comes in. And we believe that we're leading not only the area, but the nation in many of these new treatments. If you look at where our patients come from, they come from obviously heavily in Kansas, but they come from really all over the United States and now all over the world. We have patients that are seeking these new cellular therapies that come from many countries all over the world because we're one of the few places that offers many of these new cellular therapies. And so, again, hopefully you'll take pride in knowing that you have a healthcare system, and particularly a cancer program that is really leading the nation and the world in many of these new therapies. Cellular therapy, just very briefly, is harnessing a patient's own immune cells to fight their cancer. We have it says 6, but we actually have all of the current 7 FDA-approved CAR T therapies now available at the University of Kansas. Those are all the therapies that are currently available in the United States, currently approved. We, in addition, have numerous clinical trials open. We have 28 clinical trials in this space. So it's really important because when we think about patients who are diagnosed with cancer, we know that many patients don't have the means or the ability to travel to a place like MD Anderson or Memorial Sloan Kettering to receive their care. It's important to be able to receive that care here locally. They otherwise may not even be able to get that care because they couldn't afford to travel to those places to get that care. So to be able to receive that care here, we think is really critical and really important. This is, we call this a cellular tsunami, and I won't bore you with this slide, but these are all the treatments that are out there that are in clinical trials. And if only 10% of these get approved in the next 5 years, we'll have over about 100 new therapies available for all varieties of cancer. And so there's a lot of hope for cancer and for patients that are living with cancer. But we need a new facility, and so we are building a new building. So if you look up towards the health system, and you've seen the crane, that's the crane that's building our new cancer center. This new cancer center is going to be a joint venture between the university and the University of Kansas Health System. Half of the building will be dedicated to research, and half of the building will be clinical. And it will be focused on cellular and gene therapies. So this new evolving treatment that we have, which is again using a patient's own immune system or gene therapy to kill the cancer. So it's very different from chemotherapy. It's going to be a really novel way that we're going to have of treating patients. If you're wondering where this is located, because it's pretty hard to sort of understand where this is, if you know where the big tower is that you can see driving up I-70 or up 635, this is going to be just to the west of that. So it's just west of Cambridge Tower A. This is what we envision this looking like. This would be a view from 39th Street. And of course, you see a big green space there. Anybody that drives by knows that's not what it looks like. There's still two buildings in that location. One is called Bridenthal and one is called RSF, which is our lab animal resource facility. Those will actually not come down initially, so this green space will be eventual. We hope that the lab animal resource facility will come down by about 2029, and I'll show you the timeline of the new building. But the part to the right on this slide is the clinical building, and the part to the left is the research building. This is what the clinical building will look like, again, looking up from the south side towards the north side. It'll be 5 floors. The ground floor will be the first floor will be a weight lab area and cellular therapy or cell processing area with a waiting area. And then the second floor will be administrative floor. 3, 4, and 5 will all be patient care floors. This is looking, if you're coming up Rainbow towards the research building, and you'll see on the corner there, that glass area, that's sort of an important theme. We're calling that a beacon of hope. There'll be 3 of those on the building, 2 on the research building and 1. They'll have the channel glass. If you've ever seen the block building on the Nelson Atkins Museum where it lights up at night and it kind of glows, we'll have the same type of glass. And our intention is to light those up for the different cancers. So blue for prostate cancer, pink for breast cancer, orange for leukemias and brain cancer, and so on. So we'll have the ability to light that up. And then, perhaps the occasional Chiefs Super Bowl will glow red as well. This is what the front entrance of our new cancer building will look like. You'll be able to pull up. There'll be a valet. There'll be a parking garage right across the street. I'm happy to announce that that garage will be free, so you do not have to pay to park at this new facility, which is really important to our patients and families to be able to park for free. And they'll be able to, again, just walk across this little place into this new building. Here's the construction timeline. We have already had the groundbreaking. Many of you may have seen that. We had a lot of local leaders present for that, as well as some of our national leaders as well. We've had a lot of national support from our senators and Congress folks that have helped with this, and we're deeply grateful for that. We've already begun the deep utility work. Anytime you start digging in Kansas, particularly on the bluff, you start encountering a lot of things that you didn't expect. So there are a lot of sinkholes in that area. So we're currently putting pylons in to remedy that. And we're starting to pour the footings and foundations. We expect that we'll start the building dry in. So the exterior will be complete in December of 2026. And then we'll be working on the interior. And the building will finally open in November of 2027. We'll be delivering patient care at that time. So thank you for the opportunity today to address you all, and appreciate everyone's support. And I hope, again, like I said, you're proud of what's happening in Wyandotte County and at University of Kansas Health System.
Thank you, Doctor. Stand by. Yeah. Any questions for the doctor before he leaves, commissioners? Administrator?
I think it's important that it's nice to finally meet the voice that we hear on the radio or the commercial for the cancer center. If you hear it, it's Dr. Holbein. So it's nice to see the person. So welcome to our chambers. And it's wonderful to hear the great work that you're leading with your team and having that research center in our backyard. So we look forward to seeing great things happening there.
About it. Beyond the patient care, we also believe beyond the patient care that we'll be delivering and how important we think that is. Obviously, that's our most important mission. But we do believe it's going to be an economic engine for Kansas City, Kansas, for sure. There's going to be a lot that's happening here that's going to drive economic development and a lot of business development in that area. So that's another exciting part that we don't probably talk much about, but will be a critical part of the building.
Commissioners, Commissioner Burrows?
No. Doctor, I just want to say thank you. It's great in a community that has such health needs that your presence here is continuing to grow and do a tremendous outreach into the community. We are so fortunate to have KU and KU Hospital, now the new name that you go under. But I can remember when KU didn't have the reputation it has today. And I want to thank you and all the employees and those with vision to change that vision, especially the Kansas Hospital Authority Board. I was in the legislature when that was presented. I've been with KU throughout the entire growth of its cancer centers, and I'm just really excited to see the continued success, the continued outreach, and the continued research that comes out of KU. So thank you for being part of Wyandotte County.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been exciting to be a part of it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. Doctor, I do reiterate Commissioner Burrows's comments, but if you would please take my thanks back to your entire team at the Cancer Center. I did lose my sister June 1 to a fairly, what I think is a rare form of cancer, but the Cancer Center, I believe, gave her about 7 years that I don't think otherwise she had coming her way. And they never gave up on her, and she never gave up either. If you would just share my thanks with your whole team.
Happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your.
Thank you. And again, I'd like to just share in the sentiments. KU has been a good neighbor here in Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas, and not just for us in the region. I mean, you all are well respected and known, and we're glad to have that cancer treatment center that hopefully can not just preserve lives, but save lives moving forward. That's something valued we'll have right here in Wyandotte County. So appreciate all the work. I was there that day and heard the presentations. And so it was just really good to hear about what's went in and all the philanthropic work that's gone in to make this a reality. And then the visioning on what you all really hope to achieve. It's really just about, again, enhancing and preserving lives. And so we're glad to have you. You talk about economic development. We're already seeing it spin off, and it's happening quick. And we need that continued economic development. And so we're glad to have KU driving it. So thank you. Let your team know thank you. And again, we're really glad to have you all as a great neighbor here in Wyandotte County.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to present. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just want to say thank you. My dad passed away a couple years ago. It all came from Agent Orange. His fourth bout with cancer. But have you guys have you guys explored more with the ivermectin and fenbendazole that the scientists found the breakthrough in 1996 on that kind of medicine? Have you guys explored any more of that?
Yeah, I am. We have an integrative medicine program at KU. So they do continue to evaluate, a lot of alternative therapies. So that won't be the focus of our new building. It'll, be sort of a newer therapy, but we do continue to sort of try to make sure that, and I won't spend too much time, but one of our highlight programs that we're doing right now is something called survivorship. And really trying to make sure that we're really holistically approaching the patient. So the journey begins at the diagnosis and then continues all the way through. And one of the things we hear very frequently from our patients is, ringing that bell is great, but it's also really scary, right? Because you ring the bell and then you're kind of out on your own. And we've heard that, and we are really putting efforts in now that those patients will continue to be seen. And we actually probably will have one of the very first comprehensive survivorship programs in the country at KU. And we're really excited about that program as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
You and your team. Thank you all. Okay, that takes us to our consent agenda. Do any members of the Commissioner and County Administrator wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. Commissioner Bynum.
Mayor, thank you. I'd like to request that we pull item 6.4, the ordinance amending the transient guest tax levy, from the consent agenda. And my request is that the item be sent back to Administration and Human Services for more discussion. I think we we're very eager in a good way, but I feel like it's worthy of more conversation among not only the commissioners, but other people in the community that should be given the opportunity to weigh in on that. Should I make a motion to that effect?
But I got one more. Well, I'll come
Oh,
back to
sorry.
you. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor. I would second that motion. If that is a motion, if not, I'll wait for you to make the motion and I'll be more than happy to second it. Thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda outside of the set aside. I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Bynum.
There's a motion, second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Townsend? Aye. Burns?
Aye.
Hill? Commissioner Hill? Commissioner Hill? We'll come back. Kane?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Stites? Davis?
Aye.
Bynum?
Aye.
Burrows?
Aye.
One more time, Commissioner Hill? The vote is 8-0.
Aye.
Thank you. The vote is 9-0. The motion carries.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to the set aside. Clerk, if you can read that abbreviated.
A charter ordinance exempting the unified government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas from the provisions of KSA 12-1697A relating to the levy of a transient guest tax to the minimum rate thereof and to the purposes for which such transient guest tax monies may be spent, providing substitute and additional provisions on the same subject, and superseding sections 2, 3, and 4 of Charter Ordinance Number CO-01-18.
Thank you, Clerk. Commissioner Bynum, would you like to make your motion? I'll accept that.
I would, thank you. I would like to move that the ordinance be sent back to Administration and Human Services Standing Committee for more thorough discussion.
I have a motion and a second from Commissioner Burrows. Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call. Townsend? Aye. Burns?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Kane?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Stites? Davis?
Aye.
Bynum?
Aye.
Burrows?
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. The motion carries.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the regular portion of the Unified Government's full commission meeting. I'm going to be asking for a motion to adjourn us in that capacity. And then that will coincide with a motion to adjourn us back as the Board of Commissioners acting in the capacity of the Land Bank Board of Trustees. Is there a motion?
Item so moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Townsend? Aye. Burns?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Kane?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Stites? Davis?
Aye.
Bynum?
Aye.
Burrows?
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. The motion carries.
All right. We are now in the capacity of the Land Bank Board of Trustees, and on the consent agenda, do any members of the Commissioner and County Administrator wish to set aside any item on the Land Bank consent agenda? Hearing none, clerk, roll call.
I need a motion.
I'm sorry.
Davis move to approve.
Bynum second.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Townsend? Aye. Burns?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Kane?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Stites? Davis?
Aye.
Bynum?
Aye.
Burrows?
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. The motion carries.
Thank you. We have no further business on tonight's agenda. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Clerk, there's a motion second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Townsend? Aye. Burns?
Aye. MSD.
Hill?
Aye.
Kane?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Stites? Davis?
Rock chalk, aye.
Bynum?
Aye.
Burrows?
Aye.
Vote is 9-0. The motion carries.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
God, it's going through.
Mhm.
Serious singing at KU.
the one that played football at him. He's got a rare